Chapter 255. Qin Feiyang had yet to recover his true appearance. Therefore, the king of Yen did not recognize him. He looked at Yan Nanshan and frowned. "Brother Yan, why are you looking for me in such a hurry?" Yan Nanshan said, "Please take a seat. There are two people who are not here yet." The king of Yen frowned and walked to the side to sit down. He sized up Qin Feiyang and Elder Cheng suspiciously. Whoosh! Soon. Ma Cheng brought Elder He and finally arrived at the conference hall. "The king of Yen is here too." The two of them were stunned and their eyes were filled with confusion. "Please take a seat." Yan Nanshan smiled. The two of them sat beside the king of Yen. Yan Nanshan looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang walked to the center of the conference hall and looked at Ma Cheng and the other two. "Before we talk about business, I would like to ask if the others know that you are here at the Martial Imperial Hall?" The three of them shook their heads. Ma Cheng frowned again and sized up Qin Feiyang. He looked at Yan Nanshan and asked, "Who is he?" Yan Nanshan said, "He is someone you are familiar with." The three of them were even more confused. Qin Feiyang looked at Elder Wan and Elder Ji. "Please stand guard outside. During this period of time, no one is allowed to come near the conference hall." The two of them nodded and flew out of the conference hall. They stood at the top of the conference hall and scanned their surroundings. Ma Cheng and the other two exchanged glances. What was it that made them so cautious? Qin Feiyang took out a facial restoration elixir and popped it into his mouth. Immediately, the three of them suddenly stood up and stared fixedly at Qin Feiyang. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Qin Feiyang said, "Everyone in Yen County, including Pan County, thought that I, Qin Feiyang, was dead. Unfortunately, I am still alive and well. How could this be?" Ma Cheng and the other two looked at Yan Nanshan in shock. Yan Nanshan said, "Today, I will listen to Qin Feiyang's arrangements." The three of them shuddered. They all had a premonition that something big was about to happen. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Seniors, the county of Yen is no longer what it used to be. A storm of blood is brewing, and as such, I beg of you to put aside your personal grudges for the time being." The three raised their eyebrows and returned to their seats. The king of Yen said, "Go ahead. I have two conversations here. You will understand what is going on after listening to them." Qin Feiyang called out Fatso and Lu Hong and said, "Fatso, record your conversation and let the three seniors listen to it." Fatso took out the image crystal. What he had recorded was precisely the conversation that had taken place in the Swallow Pan mountain range. Voices rang out one after another. The faces of Ma Cheng and the others turned even colder. When the king of Yen heard that the first prince wanted old ancestor Lin to kill Wei Tai, he could no longer control his emotions. He slammed his palm on the armrest. "Bastard! Even killing his own younger brother, this unfilial son really deserves to die." He was so angry that his body was trembling. Qin Feiyang said, "After listening to this, I believe that the three seniors should know what is going on without having to continue." Fatso put away the image crystal. Lu Hong also took out the image crystal and said, "Your Excellency, I have recorded the conversation between the Grand Commander and Zuan." The king of Yen quivered and said in a low voice, "The Grand Commander is also involved in this matter?" Lu Hong said, "You will know after listening to it." The image crystal glowed with rays of brilliance. A conversation slowly rang out in the main hall. After listening to it, the king of Yen clenched his hands tightly, looking as if he was heartbroken. Ma Cheng and Elder He were not any better. In just over a year, Zhuai An's evil claws have infiltrated the Danwang Hall, the Lin family, the royal family and the treasure pavilion. At this rate, the entire county of Yen will soon be under his control. If he breaks through to the 9-star combat emperor, it will be the end of the county of Yen. Therefore, we must work together and wipe out the Blood Slaughter Palace in one fell swoop. Qin Feiyang said. The king of Yen said in a low voice, "This is a family matter of the royal family. I will settle it myself, no outsiders are allowed to interfere." Yen Nanshan's face darkened and shouted, "What do you mean, king of Yen?" The king of Yen said, "Did I say anything wrong?" Yen Nanshan said in a low voice, "Your current actions are obviously to protect them. You must understand the seriousness of this matter. Did I say that I will protect them?" The king of Yen glared at Yen Nanshan. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. The king of Yen Nanshan was still playing the same trick at this point. He looked at Ma Cheng and asked, "Palace Master Ma Cheng, what is your decision?" Ma Cheng said, "Zuan must be killed. However, I think that we can spare Jia He and the others. Because as long as Zuan is dead, they will naturally reflect on their actions." Qin Feiyang was so angry that he laughed. Was this the Danwang Hall of the county of Yen? Was this the royal family of the county of Yen? What a disappointment. Ren Wuxuang said, "Feiyang, since they are so stubborn, cut the crap and report it to the government. At the same time, ask the government to change the blood of the county of Yen." Ma Cheng and the king of Yen looked at Ren Wuxuang coldly. The change of blood meant that they would be removed from the throne and the position of palace master. If this matter really alerted the government, they might not be able to keep their positions. They might even lose their lives. This woman was so vicious. Ren Wuxuang said calmly, "Although this is the first time I have met you, I can see that you are not worthy of this responsibility. It is better for you to abdicate and give up your positions." "Well said." Yen Nanshan cheered in his heart. "Who do you think you are? Who are you to speak here?" Ma Cheng and the king of Yan's eyes were flashing with a shocking murderous intent. The lion-headed eagle suddenly unleashed its ferocious aura. It looked at the two of them fiercely and said, "How dare you speak to the master like that? Do you want to die?" What a terrifying aura. Ma Cheng and the king of Yan's pupils contracted. "Be quiet." Ren Wuxuang reached out and patted the lion-headed eagle. She glanced at Ma Cheng and the king of Yen and smiled at Qin Feiyang. "I have established a contract with Wang Hong. I will help you inform him now." Qin Feiyang said, "Thank you, sister." "Wang Hong. Are you from the government?" The king of Yen and the king of Yen turned pale with fright. Ren Wuxuang did not answer. She took out the image crystal directly. "Miss, wait." The king of Yen hurried forward to stop her and said, "We'll listen to Qin Feiyang's arrangement. Please have mercy on them." Ma Cheng also said righteously at once, "Jia He and the others colluded with Zuan. They deserve to die. I will never protect them." A moment ago, he was still desperately protecting his son. The next moment, he looked as if he hated evil. Qin Feiyang and the others despised his hypocrisy. Ren Wuxuang said calmly, "How do I know that you won't say one thing to my face and another behind my back?" "Absolutely not. We swear." The king of Yen and the king of Yen said, "Well, as long as you listen to my brother's arrangement obediently, I will pretend that I don't know anything." Ren Wuxuang put away the image crystal. The two finally heaved a sigh of relief and wiped off the cold sweat on their foreheads. Yen Nanshan smiled and said, "Feiyang, quickly arrange it." Qin Feiyang nodded. In fact, he would not report it to the government. Because in this way, Ma Cheng and the others would not be the only ones punished. Yen Nanshan and the other two would also be punished. Qin Feiyang sent Fatso and the king of Yen into the ancient castle. He turned and walked out of the main hall, looking up at the sky. Yen Nanshan and the others followed him out. At this moment, the sky had completely darkened. Dark clouds covered the moon and stars. Heaven and earth were plunged into deep darkness. "Even the heavens are helping me." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He said, "Let's cut off Zhua An's wings first. The first place is the Danwang Hall. Then let's go." Yen Nanshan waved his hand. The group concealed their aura and silently flew toward the Danwang Hall. As long as they did not release their battle chi, even the spies guarding the entrance of the Martial Imperial Hall would not be able to find them. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice, "Sister, I'm still a little worried. When we reach the Danwang Hall, ask Old Eagle to cripple Jia He immediately." "Okay." Ren Wuxuang nodded. In the Danwang Hall's law enforcement hall, Jia He was sitting at the coffee table in the lounge, fantasizing about a beautiful future. Bang! Suddenly, the door was slammed open by a strong force. "Who is so bold? Do you want to die?" Jia He was instantly enraged. "It's not me who's going to die today. It's you." Qin Feiyang strode into the lounge. "Why are you here? Aren't you already dead?" Jia He suddenly stood up and looked at him in disbelief. "Are you disappointed?" Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth. Jia He's eyes became extremely gloomy. "You're really lucky." Before he could finish speaking, Ren Wuxuang, Yan Nanshan, and the others walked into the lounge one after another. Jia He felt that something was wrong when he saw this. Ma Qing looked at him with disappointment and said in a low voice, "Jia He, you've really disappointed me." Jia He hurriedly said, "Temple Master, please listen to me," but at this moment, "Old Eagle!" Ren Wuxuang shouted in a low voice. The lion-headed eagle on his shoulder immediately leaped out like lightning. Before Jia He could react, it had already pierced through his chest, leaving behind a palm-sized bloody hole. Fresh blood spurted out several meters away. A war emperor was crippled just like that. Ma Qing suddenly looked at Ren Wuxuang, his eyes extremely gloomy. Ren Wuxuang said indifferently, "Have you forgotten what I said before?" Hearing that, Ma Qing hurriedly looked away, his eyes filled with fear. Qin Feiyang looked at Jia He, who was kneeling on the ground and screaming miserably, and said, "Elder Wan, I'll have to trouble you to accompany Elder He to capture Shuai and the other two." Elder Wan said with a smile, "Elder He, please." "Humph." Elder He snorted coldly and turned to leave. Qin Feiyang obviously didn't believe him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed Elder Wan to accompany him. Elder Wan, however, had a cold smile on his face as he followed with large strides. Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui, walked in front of Jia He, and said with a faint smile, "You didn't think that I would come back to find you, did you?" Jia He didn't look at him, but looked at Ma Qing and said, "Temple Master, you have to listen to my explanation. Your heart is already gone. No matter how much you explain, isn't it still a dead end? Moreover, you've already had the chance to explain. I recorded the conversation between you and Zuoan in the Swallow Pan Mountain Range. Senior Ma Qing already knows about it." Qin Feiyang smiled brightly. He had wanted to kill this person for a long time, but he never had the chance. Chapter 256. Did you record it? Jia He's eyes were glazed over. Ma Qing shouted, "Tell me, why did you collude with Zuoan?" "Huh," Jia He laughed. His laughter was filled with unwillingness. His eyes were filled with hatred. "Why? It was because of you. As long as I get rid of you and Lao He, the position of the Temple Master of Danwang Hall will naturally be mine. Damn it. My dream was about to come true, but it was ruined by this little bastard. Qin Feiyang, don't be so smug. One day, you will die a worse death than me. Ma Qing will not let you go, Lao He will not let you go, and Prince Yan will not let you go either. Everyone in the county of Yan, except for the Martial Imperial Hall, wants to kill you." Jia He laughed hysterically. Qin Feiyang looked up at the two and smiled. "Prince Yan, Senior Ma Qing, is this true? Don't listen to his nonsense. He's trying to sow discord." The two of them said gloomily. At this moment, Elder Wan and Elder He grabbed Shuai and the other two and strode into the resting room, throwing them on the ground. How is this possible? The three of them were puzzled at first. However, when they saw Qin Feiyang, they looked as if they had seen a ghost. They were so scared that their faces turned pale and their bodies trembled. Just in time. Qin Feiyang smirked and slit Jia Hei's throat with the Chang Shui in his hand. Blood splattered everywhere. The blood splattered on the three of them. The three of them were scared out of their wits and knelt on the ground. Qin Feiyang, we were wrong. You know, we were forced to do this. If we didn't join the blood-slaying palace, Zuan and the first prince would kill us. Before Qin Feiyang could say anything, the three of them kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Qin Feiyang said calmly, Prince of Yan, you have heard the conversation between Jia Hei and them. Now, we have irrefutable evidence, right? Yan Qing ordered, kill them all. Leave no one alive. No, we'll change. Qin Feiyang, please spare our worthless lives. We promise that we'll behave ourselves in the future. Shui Yang and the other two's faces were ashen as their foreheads were bruised. If I spare you, wouldn't Jiang Jingyi and Ling Yunfei's deaths be in vain? Qin Feiyang roared ferociously. With a thought, Wolf King appeared out of thin air. I'm about to go crazy from holding it in. Trash, go accompany Ling Yunfei and the others in death. As soon as the Wolf King came out, he revealed his white fangs and pounced towards the three of them. Ah! Accompanied by three miserable screams, the three men's heads were bitten off. Even Yan Nanshan and the other big shots couldn't bear to look at the bloody scene. Wolf King shouted, next place, the royal palace. Elder He cupped his hands and said, Palace Master, I won't go. I'll stay and bury them. Qin Feiyang said, Elder Wan, you stay in the Danwang Hall too. Keep the news from spreading. Understood. Elder Wan nodded. Qin Feiyang, don't go overboard. Elder He stared at Qin Feiyang with a gloomy expression. Senior, please forgive me. This is a special time. Of course, we have to use special means. If you continue to act like this, I'll have to suspect that you're also from the Blood Slaughter Palace. Qin Feiyang said calmly. You, Elder He was unable to restrain his anger. Enough. Ma Cheng shouted coldly. Tonight, we'll listen to Qin Feiyang's arrangements. No one in the Danwang Hall has any objections. Yes. Elder He finally lowered his head and replied with a bow. Let's go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the group of people majestically flew towards the palace. Elder Wan laughed and said, Old He, although we're old friends, you can't act recklessly at this time. Otherwise, Qin Feiyang might really report this to the government. Elder He harumphed and said, if he reports this to the government, all of you will be finished. Elder Wan smiled and said, as long as the county of Yen is peaceful, we don't mind being punished. Since when did you become so righteous and benevolent? I'm really impressed. Elder He had a mocking look on his face. Elder Wan ignored him and looked at him with a smile. He didn't want to give Elder He any chance to leak the news. The royal palace. Inside a palace. I just need to refine a few hundred more and I'll be able to break through to the 2-star combat emperor realm. Why isn't Lin Chen here yet? The Grand Commander muttered to himself as he paced back and forth. Dong dong. Suddenly. There was a knock on the door. Coming. His expression changed and he quickly went to open the door. However, the moment he opened the door, he froze. How could it be Qin Feiyang? And Yan Nanshan, Ma Cheng, King Yan? However, he was still the Grand Commander of the royal family. He quickly calmed down and said in surprise, Qin Feiyang, it's great that you're still alive. Is that so? Qin Feiyang chuckled and said, aren't you going to invite me in? It's my honor. Please come in. The Grand Commander smiled and stepped aside. After the group walked in, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Elder Ji, please call the first prince here. Okay. The beautiful woman nodded and turned into a ray of light, disappearing into the night sky. The Grand Commander's pupils shrank. I'll go too. King Yen said. Qin Feiyang said, King Yen, you don't have to go. Elder Ji will bring him here later. The King Yen frowned but chose to endure it in the end. Qin Feiyang shouted, close the door. Yen Nanshan waved his hand and the door slammed shut. The Grand Commander suddenly had an uneasy premonition. Could his identity have been exposed? Impossible. His identity was only known to Jia He, Patriarch Lin, and Zuan. Even the first prince was kept in the dark. These people definitely did not know. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Grand Commander, you're waiting for someone, right? The Grand Commander's pupils constricted and he shook his head. No, why do you ask? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, given Lin Chen's speed, I'm afraid he will only send you the blood demon elixir at midnight. What? The Grand Commander was shocked. Swoosh. At this moment, the lion-head eagle pierced through his chest at lightning speed. Ah! The Grand Commander screamed and sprawled on the ground, his face twisted. The King Yen also frowned. Qin Feiyang ignored him and kicked the Grand Commander to the ground. He stepped on his lower abdomen and said with a smile, You hid very well. Unfortunately, I still found you in the end. What did you say? Why did you do this to me? How did I offend you? The Grand Commander roared hysterically. You didn't offend me. You can only blame yourself for being Zhua An's henchman. Not long ago, when you were communicating with Zuan, I was hiding in Zhua An's cultivation room. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. The Grand Commander felt as if he had been struck by lightning. You're really stupid. Can't you see that Zuan is just using you? You're too naive to want to inherit the position of Duke. Even if the King Yen and the first prince are dead, it won't be your turn. If the Duke changes hands, the Emperor will have to make the decision personally. In other words, you'll only be qualified to inherit the position with the Emperor's permission. Qin Feiyang sneered. Yen Nanshan and the others looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. How did he know this? Ren Wuxuang was also in disbelief. Could it be that this brother of his was really from the imperial capital? Can I kill him now? Wolf King stared at the Grand Commander fiercely. As you wish. Qin Feiyang said. Wolf King immediately pounced on the Grand Commander. The King Yan's lips moved, but in the end, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Ah! With a shrill scream, the Grand Commander's neck was bitten by Wolf King. What's going on? At this moment, the first prince came to the door. When he heard the scream inside, his face was full of shock. The beautiful woman waved her hand and an invisible force knocked the door open. She smiled and said, Your Highness, go in. Why are they all here? The first prince was inexplicably flustered when he saw all the leaders inside. Something's not right. I seem to have missed something. He seemed to have seen two familiar figures when he hurriedly glanced around. And these two figures had always been his nightmare. Once again, he looked at them one by one. His gaze was suddenly fixed on the man and the wolf. Immediately, his head exploded. He felt that the sky was falling. How could it be them? He must be seeing things. He rubbed his eyes with all his might and looked at her again. The man and the wolf were still there. Suddenly, fear that couldn't be dispelled emerged in his heart. Weren't they dead? Why were they still alive? They must be here to take revenge. His father must have already known that he had sided with Swan. What should he do now? The first prince's legs seemed to be stuck to the ground and he could not move even half a step. Qin Feiyang said playfully, Your Highness, it's a reunion with an old friend. Don't you want to come in and have some fun? The first prince's eyes trembled and he saw the Grand Commander lying on the ground. He waved his hand and said with a smile, No, I still have something to do. You guys talk. After saying that, he turned around and was about to leave. The King Yan's eyes darkened and he shouted, get in here immediately. The first prince's body and mind were trembling. His legs were weak and he was overwhelmed by deep fear. Qin Feiyang said jokingly, as the first prince of the royal family and the future successor of the county of Yan, you actually colluded with Suan. I really don't know what you are thinking. Thump. The first prince's heart completely collapsed. He collapsed on the ground and his face was full of despair. The beautiful woman grabbed him and threw him into the main hall as if she was throwing garbage. He quickly got up and knelt in front of the King Yan. He said, "Father, I was forced to do this. Please believe me. You were also forced to kill your own brother? Get lost." The King Yan roared and kicked the first prince. The first prince howled and rolled beside the Grand Commander's body. Qin Feiyang said, "The Grand Commander is also Zhua An's lackey. You will be like him later. Your throat will be bitten by the Wolf King and you will slowly die in endless pain." The first prince's face was pale. He lay on the ground and his eyes were full of helplessness. The corners of Qin Feiyang's mouth curled up, but his eyes were shining with a shocking cold light. He hated this person the most. If this person had not betrayed him at the critical moment, he could have brought Jiang Jingyi and the others to hide in the ancient castle. In this way, no one would die. It could be said that this person was the biggest accomplice. The King Yan glanced at the first prince gloomily and then looked at Qin Feiyang. He put down his pride and dignity and begged, "Qin Feiyang, although he's wrong, he's still my son. Right now, he's still my only son. Even if you don't give the monk face, give the Buddha face. For my sake, can you give the net a way out?" "No," Qin Feiyang said without the slightest hesitation. Chapter 257. The King of Yan's expression changed immediately. He was the king of a county and had a noble status. This was the first time he had to lower his voice to a junior. However, the other party did not give him face. Did he want him to kneel down? Qin Feiyang said meaningfully, "King of Yan, you can have another son if you lose your son. However, if you lose your position as the king of a county, you will never be able to make a comeback." The King of Yan clenched his fingers tightly and glared at Qin Feiyang coldly. Finally, he made up his mind and turned to look elsewhere, shouting, "Kill me quickly." "Father," the eldest prince shouted. Even his father did not care about his life and death. He was really dead this time. "I can't accept this. I have already opened the first level of the door of potential. My future is limitless. I can't die here." He screamed as if he had gone mad. "Ah!" Qin Feiyang was shocked. He turned to look at the King of Yan and asked, "You gave him the potential elixir?" The King of Yan said angrily, "Kill him quickly. Don't be so long-winded." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said regretfully, "Such a good potential pill was actually wasted by a dog. What a waste of God's gift." The King of Yan was so angry that his body was trembling. The eldest prince was his son. If he called the eldest prince a dog, wouldn't that mean that he was also a dog? This little bastard deserved to die. Qin Feiyang. The eldest prince suddenly roared. He stood up and glared at Qin Feiyang with hatred. He smiled sinisterly and said, "Let's make a bet." "Bet?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He smiled faintly and said, "Tell me about it." The eldest prince said provocatively, "Let's fight one-on-one. If I win, you will let me go. If I lose, you can do whatever you want with me." One-on-one? Qin Feiyang looked at the eldest prince in shock. He really couldn't figure out where the first prince got the courage to challenge him. However, a glimmer of hope rose in the King of Yan's heart. Ever since the first prince broke through the martial artist extreme state, his cultivation speed had increased by leaps and bounds. Although Qin Feiyang had already unlocked the second level of the Gate of Potential, in terms of age, there was still a certain gap between him and the first prince. Therefore, he believed that his son would definitely win. Now, it was up to Qin Feiyang to see if he had the guts to accept the first prince's challenge. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman looked at each other with worry in their eyes. The beautiful woman could not help but advise, Feiyang, this kind of meaningless battle is simply a waste of time. There is no need to agree. Huh, the first prince laughed madly. Qin Feiyang, haven't you always been arrogant? Don't you care about anyone? How come you don't even dare to accept the challenge of a prisoner? Looks like you're just a useless coward. He laughed without restraint. The corners of Qin Feiyang's lips curled up as he smiled faintly. Aren't you just trying to goad me into agreeing with you? All right, as you wish. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman instantly frowned. Wolf King, Ren Wuxuang, lion-headed eagle, and Shui Ying's eyes were filled with deep mockery. Everyone, back off. King Yen sneered secretly as he stretched out his hand and shouted. Everyone retreated by a few meters to make space for Qin Feiyang and the first prince to fight. Come on. Qin Feiyang flicked his sleeves and placed his hands behind his back. His eyes were calm and he looked unruffled as he displayed an unparalleled confidence. Huh, you're the one who's looking for death. Don't blame me for being ruthless. The first prince laughed madly as his aura suddenly exploded. 6-star martial ancestor. Qin Feiyang was surprised. It looked like the first prince had refined quite a number of blood spirit pills during this period. He deserved to die. If you have the guts, don't dodge. Overlord Fist. The first prince roared provocatively. Like an overlord returning, he punched towards Qin Feiyang. As long as Qin Feiyang didn't dodge. He had absolute confidence that he could smash Qin Feiyang into smithereens with one punch. There wouldn't even be any smithereens left behind. All right, as you wish again, I won't dodge. Qin Feiyang nodded his head. His expression was as calm as usual. Arrogant. King Yan's eyes shone with a shocking cold light. You're still as stubborn as ever. I'll send you to hell right now. Die. The first prince was surrounded by a substantial murderous aura. His face was also filled with a cruel smile. His fist was about to hit Qin Feiyang's chest. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman's eyelids twitched. They almost couldn't help but save him. But at this moment. Tiger binding hand. Qin Feiyang muttered to himself. He stretched out his right hand that was behind his back at lightning speed. With a snap, he grabbed the first prince's wrist directly. The first prince's fist was only 3 inches away from his chest. However, in the first prince's eyes, this 3 inches distance was like a natural moat that was difficult to cross. He couldn't take another step forward. How can this be? The smile on his face froze instantly and was replaced by deep disbelief. I don't believe it. He roared furiously. His vital energy gushed out without any regard for his life. His power was surging wildly. However, even if he used all his strength, he couldn't take another step forward. Right then, the entire place was silent. All the magnates were dumbstruck. They clearly remembered that when Qin Feiyang went to Pan County to participate in the friendly competition, he was only a 1-star martial grandmaster. How long had it been? His ability could actually crush the first prince who was a 6-star martial artist. Is this a dream? Even if he opened the second level of the Gate of Potential, it couldn't be that fast. Why? In terms of hard work, I'm more hardworking than you. In terms of talent, I'm not worse than you. In terms of elixirs, you have Supreme Grade Chi Gathering Elixir and I have Blood Fury Elixir. You've only opened one more level of the Gate of Potential than me. But why is your speed faster than mine? The first prince looked at Qin Feiyang ferociously and roared hysterically. Fatso is already very shameless. However, there is someone who is even more shameless than him. How dare he say that his talent is not worse than little Qin Zi's? Little worm, tell me quickly. Where did you get your courage from? Wolf King chuckled. In the entire county of Yen, who dared to compete with Qin Feiyang in terms of talent? He had seen a lot of shameless people, but this was the first time he had met someone as shameless as him. He thought that he was so great, but in fact, he was a complete idiot and a clown in the eyes of others. Bastard, after I kill Qin Feiyang, I'll kill you immediately. These words made the first prince extremely ashamed and angry. With a loud roar, he raised his other arm and crazily attacked Qin Feiyang. After being so arrogant for so long, it's time for you to pay the blood debt. Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with murderous intent. His entire temperament changed drastically in an instant. Like a war god from hell, his body exuded an astonishing murderous aura. He squeezed his 5 fingers hard. Crack! The first prince's wrist was shattered. Ah! The intense pain immediately turned into raging waves that violently impacted every nerve in the first prince's body, causing him to scream in pain. This punch is for Jiang Zhengyi. Qin Feiyang roared. He punched the first prince's lower abdomen. Arg! The first prince's body arched and he spat out a mouthful of blood. This punch is for Ling Yunfei. Qin Feiyang punched again. He did not use any martial arts techniques. He did not use his true qi. Because he was afraid that he would directly kill the first prince. This punch is for Luo Qingzhu. This punch is for Zhao Shuang. This punch is for Feng Ling Er. Bang! Bang! Ah! Qin Feiyang's eyes were blood red. Like a mad bison, he punched the first prince's lower abdomen again and again. That terrifying gaze. That shocking murderous intent. Even the super giants like Yan Nanshan could not help but be frightened. As for the first prince, he was like a human sandbag. He could not summon the slightest strength to resist and could only be beaten. His screams echoed in the main hall. His eyes were filled with desolation and despair. Bang! Qin Feiyang punched the last time. The first prince flew out and crashed into a stone pillar. Immediately, his head was broken and bleeding, and he saw stars. I beg you, kill me. He lay on the ground, bleeding all over. He begged weakly. Killing you is too easy for you. Qin Feiyang walked over step by step. His gaze was bone-chilling, like a cold-blooded god of death. Who can give me a quick death? The first prince raised his head with difficulty and glanced at the king of Yen and the rest with a miserable gaze. Me. The king of Yen bared his teeth and raised his hand. A stream of battle chi appeared and turned into an arrow. It shot into the first prince's glabella at lightning speed. Immediately, the first prince's head tilted and he fell to the ground, dead. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at the king of Yen, his eyes flashing fiercely. But then, he pursed his lips with a mocking smile and said, "It must be very painful to kill your own son with your own hands, right?" The king of Yen almost went crazy and his body trembled violently. The next moment, a gush of hot blood rushed to his throat and he spat it out. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He said hurriedly, "King of Yen, are you all right? You are the king of Yen County. You must take care of your body." The king of Yen was so angry that he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. A look of disdain flashed across Qin Feiyang's eyes. He said with concern, "Senior king of Yen, although I can understand how you are feeling now, the elimination plan cannot go on without you. Can you still continue? Little bastard, I swear that I am not human if I don't kill you." The king of Yen roared in his heart. He squeezed out a very stiff smile and said, "Don't worry about me. Although he is my son, he has committed such a grave mistake and deserves to die. I will not feel sad for him." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. Senior is indeed a selfless person. I admire you. Our first target is the Lin family. At the mention of the Lin family, the Wolf King's eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent. Qin Feiyang glanced at it and turned to look at the beautiful woman. He said, Elder Ji, please stay in the palace and seal off the news. Capture Lin Chen while you are at it. Leave it to me. The beautiful woman nodded and smiled. Swoosh. The group walked out of the main hall and rushed into the sky. The Lin family was also in the East City district. In a few breaths, the group arrived in the sky above the Lin family. Wolf King looked down and said telepathically, Little Qin Zi, we must destroy the Lin family tonight. Yan Nanshan and the rest will definitely not agree. But don't worry, I will make the arrangements later. Qin Feiyang replied secretly. Okay. Wolf King's eyes were extremely terrifying at this moment. Hall Master, I can only trouble you to capture Lin Hua and Lin Hao and bring them to Patriarch Lin's residence to meet us. Chapter 258. Yan Nanshan nodded. Like a ghost, he entered the Lin family without anyone noticing. Qin Feiyang smiled, Senior King Yan, you should know where Patriarch Lin lives. Lead the way. Swoosh. King Yan dashed towards the backyard of the Lin family without hesitation. Ma Cheng followed closely behind. Qin Feiyang followed beside Ren Wuxuang and whispered, Old Eagle, let's follow the old rules. Don't let Patriarch Lin have a chance. Are you still worried about me? Lion-headed Eagle glanced at him with disdain. In the backyard of the Lin family, there was a small independent attic. There were 2 floors in total. A weak candlelight shone through one of the windows on the second floor. Patriarch Lin was sitting cross-legged on the bed, refining the blood-killing pill. The surroundings of the attic were quiet. Qin Feiyang and the rest landed silently beside the garden in front of the attic. Ma Cheng whispered in a serious tone, Patriarch Lin is a 5-star combat emperor. He is not weak. We have to kill him with one blow. 5-star combat emperor. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He was even stronger than Elder Wan and the rest. It seemed that he had to think of a foolproof plan. Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. He looked at Old Eagle on Ren Wuxuang's shoulder and whispered, we have to change our strategy. Later, you hide in my sleeve and act according to the situation. Senior King Yan, Senior Ma Cheng, you 2 hide on both sides of the window to prevent him from escaping. Sister, it's cool in the sky. You go up there and watch over the Lin family for me. If anyone sneaks out, kill him immediately. Qin Feiyang quickly made arrangements. Just say it if you think I'm a hindrance. Ren Wuxuang rolled his eyes and flew up to the sky, looking down. Lion-headed Eagle also slipped into Qin Feiyang's sleeve. He hid his aura and waited for orders. After Ma Cheng and King Yan hid well, Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. He sent Wolf King into the castle and strode to the window. Immediately, he leaped up and entered old Ancestor Lin's room. Who is it? Ancestor Lin immediately sensed that someone had barged in. He opened his eyes abruptly and 2 beams of intense cold light shot out from his eyes. Who is it? When he saw the person's face clearly, Patriarch Lin immediately stood up. His old face was filled with shock. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, You made me die so miserably. Of course I have to come back to visit you. Old Ancestor Lin's pupils constricted and he said warily, Are you human or ghost? Guess. Qin Feiyang found a chair and sat on it. He raised his head and grinned at Old Ancestor Lin. Old Ancestor Lin actually felt a little apprehensive. If you're a human, I'll kill you again. If you are a ghost, this old man will destroy both your soul and body, never to be reincarnated. Killing intent surged in Old Ancestor Lin's eyes as a terrifying pressure enveloped Qin Feiyang. The moment the pressure enveloped him, Qin Feiyang's face contorted. He felt like he was going to suffocate to death. Seeing this, Old Ancestor Lin came to a realization and sneered, Looks like you're not a ghost. Then this old man wants to see who's pretending to be a ghost. He took a step forward and took out a Heaven's Eye stone. He grabbed Qin Feiyang's wrist and pressed it on the Heaven's Eye stone. He thought. The Qin Feiyang in front of him was someone else pretending to be him. However, he didn't know that this was what Qin Feiyang wanted the most. It was simply a heaven-sent opportunity. When his hand pressed on the Heaven's Eye stone, the lion-headed eagle hiding in his sleeve was like a sharp arrow. It swept out like lightning and went straight for old Ancestor Lin's chest. Not good. Old Ancestor Lin suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. He didn't let his cultivation down. He quickly moved his feet. Puff! The lion-headed eagle pierced through old Ancestor Lin's chest. A bloody hole the size of a palm immediately appeared. Blood splattered 3 feet. But because he moved that step, it didn't hurt his heart. Humph! He groaned in pain. He immediately realized that he had been tricked. He turned around without hesitation and rushed toward the window. A 5-star combat emperor is indeed not someone Jia He and the Grand Commander can compare to. Qin Feiyang mumbled. But was it possible to escape? Without waiting for old Ancestor Lin to rush out of the window, King Yan and Ma Cheng, who were hiding behind the window, attacked at the same time. Battle Qi surged and slapped old Ancestor Lin's body. Ah! Old Ancestor Lin screamed and was slapped back into the room. At the same time, the lion-headed eagle seized the opportunity and pounced again. Its sharp claws tore open old Ancestor Lin's chest and crushed his heart. Bang! Old Ancestor Lin rolled on the ground. Blood gushed out like a fountain and dyed the floor red. It hurts. The intense pain brought about by his heart being crushed made him unable to help but howl in pain even with his cultivation. But more than that, he was surprised. King Yan and Ma Cheng were actually here. And they were outside, ambushing him. Qin Feiyang got up, raised his right foot, and stepped on old Ancestor Lin's mouth. He smiled and said, "I'm not a ghost, nor am I an imposter. Because I'm not dead." Old Ancestor Lin's pupils constricted. He was filled with disbelief. Qin Feiyang loosened his foot and said with a smile, "Your current expression is exactly the same as Jia He and the Grand Commanders." Old Ancestor Lin shook his head and said, "This is not true. I saw you being killed by Jiang Jingyi with my own eyes. Jiang Jingyi did attack, but he did not hurt my heart. He did that to protect me." A trace of melancholy crept up between Qin Feiyang's brows. "Damn Jiang Jingyi!" Old Ancestor Lin roared with resentment. "You still dare to blame him?" Qin Feiyang was instantly enraged and kicked old Ancestor Lin's head. "If you did not sneak attack Jiang Jingyi, would he have died? He trusted you so much and you actually harmed him. Do you still have any humanity left? Old man, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death today." Qin Feiyang was like a furious lion, riding on old Ancestor Lin and punching his face crazily. Blood splattered everywhere. Before long, old Ancestor Lin's face was mangled and he did not look human anymore. Clang! He took out Chang Shui and chopped off old Ancestor Lin's limbs. Finally, old Ancestor Lin was tortured to death by him. At the same time as old Ancestor Lin died, Qin Feiyang sat on the ground and panted heavily. Swoosh! A moment later, he let out a long breath and looked at old Ancestor Lin's corpse. He whispered, "Senior Jiang, Ling Yunfei, I've killed all the accomplices who killed you. Now, it's Zhua An's turn." A ferocious glint flashed in his eyes. He walked to the window and jumped down, landing on the flat ground below. The lion-headed eagle also flew out and stopped on his shoulder. King Yan and Ma Cheng looked at the miserable old Ancestor Lin and sighed deeply. They also jumped out of the window. Whoosh! Yan Nanshan grabbed Lin Hao in one hand and Lin Hua in the other and flew over. "Why aren't you dead?" When they saw Qin Feiyang covered in blood, their faces turned pale. Yan Nanshan stopped in mid-air and threw the two of them in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang glanced at the two of them and looked at Lin Hao. Have your bird eggs been cured? It's you? Lin Hao was shocked. The scene that happened in Zhenbao Pavilion came to his mind involuntarily. Qin Feiyang ignored him and waved his hand. Wolf King appeared out of thin air and said calmly, "Do whatever you want." "Who are you? How dare you come to the Lin family and behave atrociously?" At this moment, Lin Han led a group of battle monarchs with torches in their hands as they ran over aggressively. King Yen. Palace Master Ma. Palace Master Yen. When they saw King Yen and the others, the group of people stopped in unison and their faces were full of shock. "Family head, look, that's Qin Feiyang and Wolf King." A burly man pointed at the man and wolf and shouted in disbelief. "What? Aren't they dead? Why are they here?" Lin Han and the others glared at him and their mouths were wide open. Qin Feiyang ignored them and looked at Ren Wuxuang. "Sister, you can come down now." Whoosh. Ren Wuxuang was dressed in white and her hair danced in the wind. She looked like a fairy from the 9 heavens and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand again and took Fatso and Lu Hong out of the castle. Then he leaned over to Ren Wuxuang and whispered, "Sister, do me a favor." After he finished speaking, Ren Wuxuang frowned. After pondering for a while, she nodded slightly and looked at the eagle. "Protect Feiyang." The lion-headed eagle smiled. "Master, don't worry. I won't let your cheap brother lose a single hair. Be careful." Ren Wuxuang also looked at Qin Feiyang and reminded him. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at Ma Cheng, King Yen and Yen Nanshan. He smiled and said, "It's time to deal with the main character. Let's go outside the city." Outside the city? The three of them were puzzled. Shouldn't they go to the treasure pavilion? They didn't ask any more questions and soared into the sky, silently flying out of the city. "White-eyed wolf, don't be in a hurry. Wait until we fight with Suan," Qin Feiyang secretly told Wolf King through telepathy. Then the lion-headed eagle brought Qin Feiyang and chased after Yen Nanshan and the other two. What the hell is going on? Lin Han's mind was in a mess. He looked at Wolf King and Ren Wuxuang and the others and said angrily, "What are you doing in my Lin family? Let go of Lin Hao and Lin Hua." The group of War King behind him also immediately drew their blades. "Let them go." Wolf King slowly walked towards Lin Hao and Lin Hua. His pair of green eyes flickered with an incomparably ferocious light. "Blood Eagle, go up to the sky and guard them. If anyone leaves, inform me." Ren Wuxuang patted the Blood Eagle on his shoulder. The Blood Eagle immediately flapped its wings and flew above the Lin family. Its pair of blood-red eagle eyes were like two blades, incomparably sharp. "Aoo!" Wolf King suddenly howled, opened his bloody mouth and pounced towards Lin Hua. "How dare you!" Lin Han's killing intent rose. Humph. However, at this time, the might of a war emperor enveloped the entire place. Lin Han and the others all looked at Ren Wuxuang, their eyes filled with fear and fear. Where did Qin Feiyang find this sister? "Bastard, don't be arrogant." Of course, Lin Hua would not sit still and wait for death, and immediately began to counterattack. At the same time, Lin Hao also got up, stepped on an auxiliary martial skill, and struck towards Wolf King with the origin returning palm. However, both of them were too naive. How could they be a match for Wolf King? In less than 3 breaths, their heads were crushed by Wolf King, and blood splattered everywhere. "How, eldest young master." Lin Hua. Lin Han and the others bared their teeth, their eyes spitting out dense flames of hatred. Someone shouted, "Ancestor, quickly come out and kill them." Fatso crossed his arms over his chest and sneered, "It's useless, he can't come out because he has already been killed by boss." "The ancestor is dead?" "I don't believe it." The group of people shook their heads desperately. Ren Wuxuang's slender fingers moved, and a stream of battle qi gushed out. It flew into the window, rolled up the corpse of Ancestor Lin, and flew out again. Bang! The corpse landed in front of Lin Han and the others. The group of people were dumbstruck, and their torches and weapons fell to the ground. From now on, if anyone dares to move, I will kill them, Ren Wuxuang said indifferently. Chapter 259. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the others left Yen City quietly. They entered deep into the mountains and landed in front of a river. The river was about 1 meter wide and the water was flowing rapidly. On both sides of the river, there were endless forests with powerful beasts roaming around. But as soon as they sensed the aura of the lion-headed eagle, they fled in panic. The aquatic beasts lurking in the water also fled far away. Yan Nanshan looked around and asked, Qin Feiyang, what's the next step? Lure Zuan out. Qin Feiyang's eyes sparkled. Zuan was too powerful. He could not kill him with one blow. Once they fought in the city, many innocent people would be killed. So, he must be lured out of the city first. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. He turned to look at Ma Cheng and said, Senior, do you remember what happened in the Black Bear Mountain? I don't want to repeat the same mistake today. Ma Cheng felt uncomfortable when the old incident was mentioned again. Qin Feiyang continued, I'll make things clear first. If Zuan escapes because of someone's interference, I'll definitely ask my sister to inform the provincial government immediately. At that time, you'll have to bear the consequences. I agree. Yan Nanshan was the first to nod. If Ma Cheng did not act recklessly in the Black Bear Mountain, Zuan would not have escaped. Today's incident would not have happened at all. In the end, it was all Ma Cheng's fault. King Yen said, I agree too. We must get rid of Zuan tonight. Otherwise, the situation will be worse in the future. We will be punished even more severely. Ma Cheng raised his eyebrows and nodded. I'll try my best to cooperate. Qin Feiyang said, all right, you guys step aside first. The three of them stepped aside. It's not easy to lure Zuan out. Yan Nanshan was a little worried. Qin Feiyang took out the image crystal and injected his genuine qi into it to activate it. Soon, Steward Li's shadow appeared. How's the plan going? Manager Li asked. Qin Feiyang said, Zuan's wings have all been clipped, leaving only a few small fries. Now, Hall Master and I are outside the city, ready to deal the final blow to Zuan. Steward Li frowned. Then how do we lure Zuan out? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, that will depend on your ability. Me? Manager Li was stunned. I can't do it. You're the only one who can do it. Qin Feiyang said. All right, I'll do my best. Manager Li nodded helplessly. Qin Feiyang said, however, I can give you an idea. What idea? Manager Li asked. Tell him that, Qin Feiyang explained briefly. Manager Li turned off the image crystal. He frowned and mumbled, will it work? But now, we can only try our best. I hope we can succeed. He took a few deep breaths and quickly ran to the underground secret room. Very soon, he came to the door of the secret room. He calmed himself down and shouted, Pavilion Master, I have an urgent matter to discuss with you. Come out quickly. Boom. The stone door opened. Zuan strode out and looked at Manager Li suspiciously. He frowned and asked, what's the hurry? Manager Li said, King Yen, Ma Cheng, and Yan Nanshan said they have something to discuss with you. They're looking for me? Zuan frowned and asked, where are they? Outside the city. Manager Li said. Why are they outside the city? Zuan began to feel suspicious. It seemed that he had to ask Jia He and the others first. Manager Li said, they found a very strange place outside the city and want you to take a look. They also told me not to reveal it to anyone else. A strange place? Zuan was stunned. Manager Li said, according to King Yan's guess, it might be an ancient site. An ancient site. Zuan's body trembled. Usually, a place called an ancient site would hide a peerless treasure. Manager Li urged, Pavilion Master, they're already waiting there. You're the only one left. I'll take you there now. He also knew that Zuan, who had always been cautious, would definitely ask Jia He and the others first. So, he couldn't give Zuan this chance. Otherwise, the matter would be exposed. Zuan said, go out and wait for me. Manager Li frowned and said, Pavilion Master, you've always been straightforward. Why are you dragging your feet today? Zuan said angrily, just wait. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Manager Li's heart sank. Was he really going to be exposed? Zuan was about to close the stone door. Manager Li suddenly thought of a plan. He grabbed the stone door and said anxiously, Pavilion Master, I'm not talking nonsense. It's because there's a wolf claw print in that place. Wolf claw? Zuan was slightly stunned and asked in surprise, what do you mean? Yan Nanshan said that the wolf claw print was left by Qin Feiyang's wolf. In other words, Qin Feiyang and the Wolf King have been there before. It's very likely that they got the formula for the potential elixir there. Pavilion Master, you should know the value of the potential elixir. Manager Li said excitedly, pretending to be serious. Zuan was also excited when he heard this. But then, he calmed down again and asked doubtfully, it's just a wolf claw print. How can you tell that it was left by the wolf? Manager Li was burning with anxiety. Zuan's vigilance was far beyond his expectations. He was at his wit's end. If he failed here, not only would the elimination plan be in vain, Zuan would definitely kill him. In short, he must not let Zuan contact Jia He and the others. At the same time, Qin Feiyang stood by the river, frowning. Why aren't they here yet? The treasure pavilion was located in the West District, not far from here. With Zuan and Manager Li's speed, they could arrive in a few breaths. Could something have happened? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled, and he took out the image crystal again. No. Zuan and Manager Li must be together now. If I send a message to Manager Li, my identity will be exposed. He quickly turned his head and looked at Theta Wang and the others. I'm worried that Manager Li is in trouble. Quickly send a message to him. Yan Nanshan immediately took out the image crystal from his Qinquan bag. In front of the stone door of the secret chamber, Zuan looked at Manager Li suspiciously. Manager Li's forehead was already faintly sweating. Buzz. But at this moment, the image crystal in his arms trembled. Could it be Qin Feiyang? Please don't let it be this kid, Manager Li's heart trembled. He braced himself and took out the crystal. He poured his battle chi into it, and 3 shadows quickly condensed. It was not Qin Feiyang. It was Yan Nanshan and the other 2. Manager Li secretly heaved a sigh of relief. King Yan said angrily, Jiang Jingyi, what are you doing? Why are you still in the treasure pavilion? Yan Nanshan added, why do I feel that you've become a different person since you came back from Pan County? Zuan's heart skipped a beat. He smiled apologetically and said, sorry, I was delayed by something. I'll go right away. Ma Qing said impatiently, hurry up. Yan Nanshan, King Yan and I all guessed that it must be an ancient site. Zuan nodded and said, okay, I'll come to you now. If you're not here in 5 breaths, we'll go to the treasure pavilion to look for you. Yan Nanshan said unhappily as he turned off the image crystal. It doesn't seem like he's lying. Zuan thought for a while and smiled at Manager Li. Let's go. If we keep them waiting, I'm afraid they'll really get angry. You came just in time. Manager Li muttered. If Yan Nanshan and the other 2 did not suddenly send a message, he really did not know what to do. Whoosh. The 2 turned into a stream of light and rushed out side by side. By the river. Qin Feiyang gave Yan Nanshan and the other two a thumbs up. They were all geniuses in acting. He seemed to have thought of something and said, Temple Master, Seniors, I have a question. Jiang Jingyi is dead, so the image crystal is useless. And all of you have built a contract bridge with Jiang Jingyi. This is a very obvious flaw. But why didn't you realize that this Jiang Jingyi was Zuan? He looked at the three of them suspiciously. Of course we knew. We asked him at that time. He said that he accidentally destroyed the image crystal on the way. Jia He and the others were also lying at the side. Of course we wouldn't suspect them. The three of them said. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. It was too late to say, but in the blink of an eye. In less than 5 breaths. 2 powerful auras came from the direction of Yen City. I'll hide first. You guys act according to the situation. Qin Feiyang said and entered the ancient castle. After listening for so long, Luo Qinxue basically figured out what was going on. There was an indelible sadness on her face. The murderous intent in Qin Feiyang's heart became more and more intense. Outside. The king of Yen rushed into the sky. His battle qi surged and lit up the world. Zuan and Steward Li saw him immediately. The two of them landed in front of the king of Yen like lightning. Steward Li immediately asked, King of Yen, where is the ancient site? Let's go down and talk. The king of Yen led the two of them and landed in front of Yan Nanshan and Ma Cheng. Zuan looked around and asked in confusion, why are there only the 3 of you? Where are Jia He and the others? Ma Cheng said, we haven't informed them yet. After we confirm it, we will ask them to come and help. Steward Li, you should go back first. Steward Li couldn't help at all if he stayed here. Steward Li hesitated and said, well, I want to take a look too. Zuan smiled and said, go back first. We will inform you if there is any news. All right. Steward Li nodded. With a trace of reluctance, he turned and flew away. Where is the ancient site? Zuan glanced at Yan Nanshan and the other two and asked. Yan Nanshan looked around and walked to Zuan. He said in a low voice, the ancient site is. While Yan Nanshan was talking, Ma Cheng and the king of Yen also took a step forward and surrounded Zuan in the middle. The distance between the 4 of them was less than half a meter. The time was ripe. Yan Nanshan's words stopped abruptly. The 3 giants attacked at the same time and slapped Zuan with all their might. Murderous intent, battle chi, and the terrifying aura of the War Emperor exploded at this moment. They were too fast. They were too close to each other. Even the cunning Zuan couldn't avoid their sneak attack. Boom! At this moment. Chapter 260. They had succeeded in one strike. Yan Nanshan and the other 2 wanted to take this opportunity to kill Zuan. But Zuan was not easy to deal with. When he came back to his senses, the aura of an 8-star combat emperor exploded. His eyes shone with a ferocious light. He stretched out both of his hands and his battle chi swept across the sky, pushing Yan Nanshan and King Yen away. At the same time, Ma Cheng punched him in the back. Crack. A few bones were broken. Like a meteor, he flew into the depths of the forest. Wherever it passed, the towering ancient trees were smashed to the ground like decaying dead wood. Finally, he crashed into a giant mountain with a loud bang. The giant mountain, which was a few hundred feet tall, collapsed on the spot with a deafening rumble. Yan Nanshan shouted, this is a good opportunity. Don't give him any time to catch his breath. The 3 magnates' auras were like rainbows as they rushed towards the collapsed mountain peak. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the lion-headed eagle appeared out of thin air. Eagle, follow them. Qin Feiyang urged. Swoosh. The lion-headed eagle carried him and chased after them at lightning speed. Rumble. Accompanied by an earth-shattering boom, Zuan flew out from the collapsed mountain peak with a terrifying aura and stood high in the sky. He was covered in blood. That fatal sneak attack from before had caused him to be seriously injured. Swoosh! Yan Nanshan and the other two flew over and surrounded Zuan in the middle. Why did you plot against us? If you don't give us a satisfactory explanation today, don't blame us for reporting you to the state government. Zuan glanced at the three of them coldly. You're still pretending? The three of them looked at each other with sarcasm in their eyes. Cut the crap. Kill him while he's weak. Kill him. Yan Nanshan shouted. After he finished speaking, his battle chi rushed out from his body like a torrent. King Yan and Ma Cheng also attacked with all their might. Their battle chi rolled in all directions and even the heavens and the earth were trembling. The three magnates joined forces and their aura was terrifying. Don't go too far. Zuan was furious. Although he was seriously injured, he was not afraid at all and fought with the three of them. Rumble. Crack. Mountains crumbled and the earth cracked. It was as if doomsday had arrived. The ferocious beasts and birds in the forest fled for their lives. Qin Feiyang did not approach. He stood on top of a distant mountain and looked into the distance. Zuan has been severely injured by the sneak attack and can't exert his full strength. I'm sure we can annihilate him this time. Manager Li flew to Qin Feiyang's side, a cold light flashing in his old eyes. He didn't really leave either. Qin Feiyang said, no matter whether he is seriously injured or not, he must die here today. But we can't let go of the small fries in the city. Manager Li nodded and said, this old man understands. This old man will go back now to gather the troops and eliminate those remnants. Qin Feiyang said, inform Elder Wan and the others while you're at it. All right. Manager Li responded, then turned around and tore through the sky. Qin Feiyang said, Old Eagle, it's time for your little brothers to move out. Have them seal off Swallow City from all sides. From now on, only people can enter and not leave. Chirp. The lion-headed eagle raised its head and let out a sharp cry. Roar. The 15 ferocious beasts that were hiding in the depths of the mountain brought with them a terrifying aura and descended upon Swallow City at lightning speed. Why are there so many ferocious beasts? Their aura is so strong. They can all fly. They are Combat Emperor ferocious beasts. The moment the 15 ferocious beasts descended, the entire Swallow City fell into a state of panic. Everyone was in danger. What are you doing in Swallow City? Who sent you here? Elder He and Elder Wan from the South District, Elder Ji from the East District, and Manager Li who had just returned to the West District couldn't help but change their expressions. They all flew up into the sky and looked at the ferocious beasts outside the city. Master Beast Emperor has ordered that from now on, all humans in Swallow City can only enter and not leave until Qin Feiyang returns. Hearing this, Elder Wan and the others heaved a sigh of relief. So it was Qin Feiyang who had arranged this. It was only until now that they realized what had happened. It turned out that Qin Feiyang had already made arrangements for this. A total of 15 Combat Emperor ferocious beasts. This guy was really generous. At the same time, Lin family. Roar. Wolf King's angry roar resounded in all directions. A massacre began in an instant. Ha, Lin Han, today is the end of your Lin family. Fatso laughed wildly as he followed behind Wolf King and attacked the younger generation of the Lin family. Ren Wushuang also attacked. More than 10 combat kings of the Lin family were killed by her finger. Tonight, Swallow City was destined to not be peaceful. Blood was everywhere. Martial Imperial Palace. Shi Zheng, Elder Chu, and a group of deacon elders rushed out of the door aggressively. The disciples of the Blood Slaughter Palace who were monitoring the Martial Imperial Palace were all killed on the spot. A large number of combat kings also appeared in the Danwang Hall and the royal family. After the combat kings of the Zhenbao Pavilion found out the truth, they also started a carpet cleansing of Swallow City under the lead of Manager Li. The combat kings of the 4 superpowers all came out with Heaven's Eye stones. Anyone who changed their appearance was killed without mercy. Of course, not everyone who changed their appearance was a disciple of the Blood Slaughter Palace. Some of them were just hiding from their enemies. But when they found out about the situation, they couldn't care less and changed their appearance. Their lives were more important. In the city at night, a massacre was happening everywhere. The air of the 4 districts was filled with the pungent smell of blood. The massacre outside the city was even more brutal. Yan Nanshan, Zuoan, and the other 2 killed their way into the depths of the mountain range. Everything within a few thousand meters was destroyed. Although Zuoan was strong, he was seriously injured and was gradually falling into a hopeless situation. Although Yan Nanshan and the others were also injured to varying degrees, their aura was even more terrifying. Qin Feiyang hid in the dark and didn't let the lion-head eagle attack. He wanted to find the perfect opportunity to deal a fatal blow to Zuoan. Another 10 breaths passed. Hiss! A giant python suddenly jumped out from behind Zuoan. Its long and narrow eyes shone with a sinister light. This was his combat soul. This also meant that Yan Nanshan and the other 2 had indeed forced him into a desperate situation. Zuoan, don't think about escaping today. Yan Nanshan shouted. Behind him, a gigantic eagle soared into the sky. Its body was fiery red as if it was condensed from flames. Its curved claws and sharp eyes were daunting. This was the fire eagle. It was Yan Nanshan's combat soul. Ma Cheng and the king of Yan summoned their combat souls at the same time. Ma Cheng's combat soul was also a giant python like Zuoan. However, Ma Cheng's combat soul was scarlet and dozens of meters long. It was ferocious as if it was cast from magma. The king of Yan's combat soul was even more shocking. It was a Wirm. Kill. The 3 of them waved their hands with a murderous aura. The 3 combat souls roared in the sky, crushing mountains one after another as they clashed with Zuoan's combat soul. In less than 5 breaths, Zuoan's combat soul wailed and was torn into pieces. Immediately, Zuoan spat out a mouthful of blood and roared, "Tell me, why did you do this?" Until now, he had not realized that his identity had been exposed. He couldn't be blamed. This was because he had done it flawlessly, without the slightest flaw. If it wasn't for Qin Feiyang, Yan Nanshan and the rest would not have realized that Jiang Zhengyi was a fake. Yan Nanshan and the other 2 did not make a sound. As they waved their hands, the 3 combat souls roared towards Zuoan with a ferocious aura. Damn it! I can't hide any longer. Zuoan gritted his teeth and ran away with a mysterious footwork. His speed was twice as fast as before. An auxiliary combat art. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. He finally understood why Zuoan could escape from Yan Nanshan and the rest again and again. The reason was that he had an auxiliary combat art. Combat arts and martial techniques were not required. Combat arts could only be practiced by martial artists who had mastered battle chi. Auxiliary combat arts and martial techniques were similar in nature. However, auxiliary combat arts were many times rarer than martial techniques. It was extremely rare even in the imperial capital. Qin Feiyang did not expect Zuoan to have mastered an auxiliary combat art. Although it was just an inferior combat art, it was already very shocking. Go after him. Yan Nanshan and the other 2 were anxious. Although they were prepared, their efforts were futile in the face of Zuoan's overwhelming speed. Hee, you are not surprised at all. It seems that the 3 of you already know my true identity. Zuoan grinned hideously. King Yan shouted, Zuoan, you are at the end of the road. I advise you to surrender now. End of the road? Hee. Can you catch up with me? Since I have been exposed, I will not hold back. I will slaughter Yen City now and refine them into blood-killing pills. Zuan laughed sinisterly. His face was filled with madness as he ran toward Yan's city like a bolt of lightning. Qin Feiyang's expression changed drastically. He shouted, "This is a good opportunity. Take a shortcut and stop him." The lion-headed eagle carried Qin Feiyang and ran through the forest at high speed. Qin Feiyang stared at Zuan. At the same time, Theta Wang and the others chased after Zuan anxiously. If Zuan really massacred Yan's city, the three rulers of Yan's city would be implicated. Zuan arrived at the back of the North City after a while. "Yan Nanshan, I will destroy your martial imperial hall first." He laughed maniacally and rushed toward the city. "What should we do?" Yan Nanshan was on the verge of exploding. But at this moment, the lion-headed eagle shot out from the forest below like a bolt of black lightning. The sharp beak easily pierced through Zuan's skin and pierced through his chest, leaving a palm-sized bloody hole in his body. Blood dyed the sky red. What happened? Zuan was shocked. He looked down at his chest and his eyes widened in disbelief. The next moment, he screamed in pain and lost his balance. He fell into the forest below. He looked at the lion-headed eagle again. In its claws, there was a heart that was still beating. It was Zuan's heart. This was a fatal blow. Without his heart, Zuan would definitely die. Bang! Zuan fell into the forest and hit the ground. A deep pit was formed on the ground. Zuan was buried deep in the soil. Blood bubbles kept coming out of his mouth. His face was full of confusion. Tap! 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 Suddenly, Zuan heard the sound of footsteps. He felt that someone was approaching him step by step. The aura was not strong, but it was familiar. Who was it? Chapter 261. Why are you here? Zuan's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw the person's face. Why is Qin Feiyang still alive? No. This must be a dream. Zuan closed his eyes. At this moment, the pain of losing his heart had been thrown to the back of his mind. All that was left was bewilderment. He opened his eyes again. Not only did Qin Feiyang not disappear, but he was already standing in front of Zuan, looking down at him. Why aren't you dead? Zuan roared without hesitation. Whoosh! The lion-headed eagle swooped down with Zuan's heart in its hand and stopped beside Qin Feiyang. His battle chi surged and shone in all directions. Qin Feiyang stepped on Zuan and said coldly, "If I'm dead, no one will expose your true face." No. You were killed by Jiang Zhengyi. Zuan shook his head, still unable to believe it. Qin Feiyang grabbed Zuan's heart and said, "Do you know? Since you killed Feng Cheng and the Black Bear King, I swore in my heart that I will cut off your head with my own hands to avenge them." As soon as he finished speaking, he clenched his fist and crushed Zuan's heart on the spot. "Little bastard, I'm going to kill you." Zuan roared and struggled with all his might. But now, his life was in danger and he was like a fish on the chopping board. He had no strength to get up. However, the vitality of the War Emperor was amazing. He was still alive after losing his heart. At this moment, Yan Nanshan and the other two landed in front of Qin Feiyang. Looking at the dying Zuan, they could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Zuan glanced at them one by one and grinned. "Don't be too happy. Even if I die in your hands today, even if Jia He and Patriarch Lin are killed by you, there will be a bloody storm in Yan City soon." Yan Nanshan sneered. "Are you talking about the commander of the royal family? How do you know?" Zuan's eyes widened. "It's all thanks to Qin Feiyang. If it wasn't for him, we really wouldn't have been able to find the first commander. Now, Generalissimo, Jia He, and Patriarch Lin have all reported to the underworld. You're the only one left." Yan Nanshan's eyes flashed with killing intent. Zuan's body trembled violently as he stared ferociously at Qin Feiyang and roared, "Little bastard, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. I'm afraid you won't even have the chance to become a ghost." Qin Feiyang took out a facial restoration pill and forced it into Zuan's mouth. The next moment, Zuan revealed his true face. Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui and prepared to chop off Zuan's head. Ma Qing suddenly stopped him and said coldly, "This man has done a lot of evil. It's too easy to kill him. Bring him back and the people of Yan City will make him suffer." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded. He put away the Chang Shui and lifted Zuan up. The group rose into the air and flew toward the city. The moment they entered the city, Yan Nanshan waved his hand. A wave of battle aura surged into the sky like a tide and condensed into a full moon. The entire Yan city was as bright as day. "It's Qin Feiyang. He's not dead." The people in the city had already been awakened by such a big incident and gathered on the streets. The moment the full moon appeared, some people noticed Qin Feiyang. They immediately exclaimed in surprise. The entire county of Yan knew that Qin Feiyang had died in the Swallow Pan mountain range. But now, he appeared in front of them again. How could they not be surprised? Didn't he embezzle the herbs and was executed by Jiang Jingyi on the spot? Why is he still with the Prince of Yan and the others? Who's the person he's carrying? The discussion and clamor intertwined into a terrifying sound wave that covered the sky and earth. Whoosh! A figure rushed into the sky. It was the beautiful woman. She was carrying a person in her hand. Lin Chen. "Master." Lin Chen's expression changed when he saw Zuan's miserable state. His face turned even paler when he saw Qin Feiyang carrying Zuan. "My lords, Zuan forced me to do this. Please show mercy and spare my life," Lin Chen immediately begged. "You deserve to die." A murderous intent flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. A layer of ice appeared on his index finger and he pointed it at Lin Chen's forehead. "Don't kill me, arg!" Along with a shrill scream, a bloody hole appeared in between Lin Chen's eyebrows. The beautiful woman waved her hand. Lin Chen fell downwards, smashing into the ground with a thud, dying on the spot. "Lin Chen? Didn't they say that he's following that devil's one? He called that person his master just now. Could that person be Zuan?" The people were shocked. "Everyone, be quiet. I have something to announce," Yan Nanshan shouted. His voice spread in all directions. The crowd immediately shut their mouths. The entire East City fell into a dead silence. "All of this is Zuan's trick. Qin Feiyang was wrongly accused." Yan Nanshan slowly explained the whole matter from beginning to end. "So that's how it is. I knew it. Qin Feiyang is such a kind young man. How could he do such a thing? How dare he frame Qin Feiyang? That devil Zuan deserves to die. Kill him." The people were filled with righteous indignation. Their voices shook the sky. Whoosh! At this moment, Ren Wuxuang flew over with Wolf King, Fatso, Lu Hong, and Shuang. "How is it?" Qin Feiyang asked. "From now on, the Lin family will cease to exist." Fatso smiled coldly. "What? You destroyed the Lin family?" Yan Nanshan and the other two's expressions changed. They looked at them in shock. What's the use of keeping such a family alive? Wolf King's eyes were full of disdain. The King of Yen clenched his fists tightly. His knuckles cracked as he said sternly, "You're insane." "Humph." Fatso snorted. He looked down at the crowd and said loudly, "The Lin family colluded with Zuan. Their crime is unforgivable. We've just eliminated the Lin family. From now on, the Lin family will cease to exist in Yen City. Good job. Anyone who colludes with the devil Zuan should be killed." The people cheered loudly. Lu Hong pursed her lips and smiled. "King of Yen, If you hold us accountable now, I'm afraid everyone will think that you're in cahoots with Zuan." The king of Yen was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. This group of people is despicable. Fatso did not care at all. He kicked Zuan and sneered. "Old man, weren't you very arrogant at the Eagle Claw Peak? Come on, get up and fight with the Fat Lord if you have the guts." Qin Feiyang and the others rolled their eyes. Why didn't Fatso act so arrogantly before Zuan was injured? Swoosh! The group landed on the square outside the palace. Qin Feiyang found Zuan's Qinkuan bag and threw it on the ground. Ma Qing shouted, "Qin Feiyang, what are you doing?" Qin Feiyang looked at him in confusion. Ma Qing said, "The formula for the blood spirit pill must be in Zuan's Qinkuan bag. I have reason to suspect that you want to take the formula for yourself since you took his Qinkuan bag." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Lu Hong said in a low voice, "Temple Master Ma, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. If that's the case, then hand over your Qinkuan bag." Ma Qing sneered. Qin Feiyang looked at Ma Qing and suddenly realized something. He said lightly, "I think you want the formula for the blood spirit pill." "What nonsense are you talking about? Don't slander me." Ma Qing was furious. His face was gloomy to the extreme. "You know very well whether I'm talking nonsense or not." Qin Feiyang sneered. He had to get rid of this person sooner or later. This was because if it wasn't for Ma Qing, Feng Cheng and Heixiong Shan would not have died. He had not forgotten this debt and had always kept it in his heart. Ma Qing and King Yan's faces were very ugly. Yan Nanshan raised his eyebrows when he saw the atmosphere was getting more and more serious. All right, just destroy the Qinkuan bag. What's there to quarrel about? That's good too, in case someone with bad intentions tries to frame us." Qin Feiyang threw the Qinkuan bag to Yan Nanshan directly. Yan Nanshan grabbed it and squeezed hard. The Qinkuan bag was crushed into pieces. Once the Qinkuan bag was crushed, the things inside would also be destroyed. Qin Feiyang looked at Ma Qing and said lightly, "Now, you won't say that I want to take the formula for myself, right? Don't do it unless you don't want others to know." Ma Qing sneered. Haha, Zuan, who was lying on the ground, suddenly laughed. "Interesting, really interesting, I'll tell you the truth. The formula for the Blood Evil Temple is not in the Qinkuan bag at all. If any of you want it, put your head over here and I'll tell him." Zuan looked at them mockingly. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed. The formula had to be destroyed, or there would be endless trouble. He reached out his hand without hesitation and grabbed Zuan. "You really want to take the formula for yourself?" Ma Qing sneered and slapped Qin Feiyang's hand away. He grabbed Zuan before Qin Feiyang could. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Seeing Ma Qing slandering Qin Feiyang one after another, Fatso could not help but explode. "Old man, are you a fucking idiot? If boss really wants the formula for the Blood Evil Temple, he would have cooperated with Zuan in Black Bear City. Even an idiot can think of this, but you're like a dog, biting and not letting go. Did your mother break your brain when she gave birth to you?" He pointed at Ma Chang's nose in front of everyone and scolded him. "I'm going to kill you." Ma Cheng was burning with anger. No one had ever dared to scold him like this. He waved his hand and shot a battle chi at Fatso. "How dare you!" The lion-headed eagle shouted and stood in front of Fatso, saving Fatso's life. It stared fiercely at Ma Cheng and said, "How dare you bully my little brother? Are you tired of living? Little brother?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. When did Fatso hook up with the lion-headed eagle? Ma Qing glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others and said, "Yan Nanshan, I need an explanation." Slap. Immediately, the crisp sound of a slap was heard. Everyone present was dumbfounded. They did not expect Yan Nanshan to slap Ma Cheng's face directly. Ma Cheng was stunned. Is this explanation enough? Yan Nanshan glared angrily at Ma Cheng and roared, "Fatty is right. Your brain must be damaged. That's why you're so stupid. He did not want to fall out with Ma Cheng. However, Ma Cheng was asking for a beating. Chapter 262. There was a dead silence. Even the king of Yen was tongue-tied. After being together for so long, this was the first time he saw Yan Nanshan so angry. However, Ma Cheng was really stupid. Even if Qin Feiyang wanted the formula of the blood spirit pill, he would not do it in public. Wasn't he asking to be humiliated? Swoosh. Ma Cheng came back to his senses and stared at Yan Nanshan. What's wrong? Are you still not convinced? As the hall master of the Danwang Hall, aren't you ashamed of slandering a 16-year-old young man in public? Yan Nanshan sneered. Ma Cheng's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Yan Nanshan, just you wait. I won't let this go. Yan Nanshan sneered. I'll accompany you to the end. All right. Ma Cheng threw Zuoan aside and flew into the air. He would only continue to embarrass himself if he stayed here. Zuoan laughed. Ma Cheng, the formula is with Jia He. Go and get it. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and grabbed Zuoan's clothes. He said angrily, where is the formula? Hee, didn't I tell you? It's with Jia He. If you rush there now, you should still be able to make it. Otherwise, Ma Cheng will take it away. Zuoan sneered. Qin Feiyang's eyes were gloomy. He really did not know whether he should believe Zuoan's words. Suddenly, he laughed. Zuoan, you're really something. You're still trying to drive a wedge between me and Ma Cheng when you're about to die. Unfortunately, not everyone is as stupid as Ma Cheng. Qin Feiyang sneered. Zuoan's pupils shrank. He said mockingly, is that so? Are you really that smart? Qin Feiyang said, I'm not smart enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been tricked by you last time. But at least you're in my hands now. Zuoan sneered. Then we'll wait and see. I'm afraid you won't have the chance. Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui and chopped off Zuoan's head. Blood spurted out from the bowl-sized wound. Qin Feiyang exhaled deeply, before he turned toward Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman and said, Hall leader, elder, I'm a little tired. I'll be heading back first. Yan Nanshan smiled. Go and have a good rest. We will clean up the remnants of the blood slaughter palace. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at Ren Wuxuang. Sister, take us back. Ren Wuxuang waved her jade-like hand and led Qin Feiyang and the others away in a streak of light. Upon entering the northern district, Qin Feiyang said to Old Eagle, do me a favor and go take a look at the Danwang Hall. Lion-headed Eagle asked in confusion, didn't you say that Zuoan is trying to sow discord? Better to be safe than sorry. Qin Feiyang was somewhat worried. All right. Wait for my news. Lion-headed Eagle flapped its wings and disappeared into the night sky. It could freely change its size and sneak into the Danwang Hall without anyone noticing. It was as easy as drinking water. Lu Hong retracted her gaze and said in a low voice, I can see that Ma Cheng and King Yen are getting more and more determined to kill you. You have to be careful. I've already sensed it. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lu Hong asked, have you thought of a countermeasure? Let's wait for Old Eagle to come back. Qin Feiyang said, his eyes flickering. Soothing Lake. They landed beside the lake. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said to Wolf King and Ren Wuxuang, I want to talk to Aunt Shui alone. After they entered the attic, Qin Feiyang summoned Luo Qinxue out of thin air. Qin Feiyang turned to face her and said, Aunt Shui, I'm sorry. This is all I can do. It's enough. Luo Qinxue squeezed out a smile. Before Senior Jiang died, he left me a bloody robe and asked me to take good care of you and Qingzhu. But, Qin Feiyang took out the bloody robe and looked at the shocking words on it. He felt terrible. This is fate. Back then, Jiang Jingyi and I fell in love at first sight. In less than half a year, we promised to marry each other and got pregnant with Qingzhu. But because I was just a woman from an ordinary family, I was firmly opposed by his family. I thought that he would face it with me. But in the end, he chose to escape and left alone. I was so disappointed in him that I left the Jiang family and lived in Iron Ox Town. Not long after, Qingzhu was born. He received the news and came to me to ask for my forgiveness. And because of this, he fell out with the Jiang family. I couldn't forgive him, but I couldn't deprive him of his right to be a father. Qingzhu would only suffer if she followed me, so I let him raise Qingzhu. Actually, after more than 10 years, I don't hate him anymore. But unfortunately, I don't have the chance to tell him now. Luo Qinxue said faintly. So this is the conflict of the Jiang family. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply. Was family background really so important? As long as two people loved each other and could be happy, wasn't it better than anything else? Aunt Shui, Senior Jiang really cared about you. Last time in the treasure pavilion, he even asked me to help him get your forgiveness. If he could hear your words, I believe that he would be able to rest in peace in the underworld. Qin Feiyang said. Luo Qinxue shed tears unknowingly. Whoosh. At this moment, the lion-head eagle looked at Luo Qinxue and said telepathically, "Boy, Zuan didn't lie. Jia He really did have the formula for the blood demon pill." Qin Feiyang was shocked and thought, did he take the initiative to hand it over? No. After he and that he guys saw the pill recipe, they destroyed it. They thought that they did it secretly, but they didn't expect that I saw the whole process. The lion-head eagle sneered. Destroyed it? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. This was going to be difficult. Although the eagle saw it with his own eyes, he couldn't convict Ma Cheng and Elder He without evidence. They would definitely deny it. Qin Feiyang thought, why don't you record it with the image crystal? I can't speak. Why would I need the image crystal? The lion-head eagle rolled its eyes. Qin Feiyang said, after they get the formula, they will definitely start to make the blood demon pill. Can you help to keep an eye on them? Boy, you are smart, but sometimes you are stupid. Zuan's matter is not over yet. How can they commit a crime at this time? The lion-head eagle looked at him disdainfully and flew back to the pavilion. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Luo Qinxue wiped her tears and asked Qin Feiyang, "Feiyang, what are you going to do next?" "I am going to the state capital." Qin Feiyang didn't hide his thoughts. He had broken through to the 7-star martial ancestor realm. With his current speed, it wouldn't take long for him to step into the combat emperor realm. He would be able to protect himself in the state capital. Luo Qinxue nodded and said, "You are very talented. The stage in the county of Yan is too small for you." Qin Feiyang smiled. His stage was not in the county of Yan or the state capital. It was in the imperial capital. However, before he left the county of Yan, he had to deal with Ma Cheng, Prince Yan, and Elder He first. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Aunt Shui, go and rest for a while." "Okay. You have to be careful too," Luo Qinxue reminded. "I know." Qin Feiyang nodded and said to the attic, "Lu Hong, arrange a room for Aunt Shui." "Okay." Lu Hong walked out of the attic and said with a smile, "Aunt Shui, come with me." After the two entered the attic, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. Outside, the killing continued until dawn. Manager Li came to the soothing lake after he finished his work. He saw Qin Feiyang standing by the lake and thinking about something. Manager Li walked up and said with a smile, "Mr. Qin, what are you thinking about? You look so deep in thought." Qin Feiyang looked up and said with a smile, "You look so energetic. Looks like the operation went smoothly." Nonsense. The 4 super forces came out in full force. How could it not go smoothly? However, I didn't expect the Blood Slaughter Palace to develop so fast. We killed more than 3,000 people. Manager Li shook his head and sighed. So many? Qin Feiyang was also surprised. They had developed so much in less than 2 years. If Zuoan had a few more years, the Blood Slaughter Palace would have infiltrated every corner of the county of Yan. Manager Li asked, "Where is Madam?" Qin Feiyang said, "She is resting in the attic." Manager Li said with a smile, "I am here to take her to the treasure pavilion." "You don't have a problem with that, do you?" "Not now. It's not over yet." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "What do you mean?" Manager Li was surprised. Qin Feiyang said, "Ma Cheng, an elder, he got the recipe of the Blood Slaughter Palace. I have been thinking about how to make them show up." "Are they looking for death?" Manager Li was furious. Destroying the recipe was forbidden by the first-generation emperor. As the Lord of the Danwang Hall and the Elder of Law Enforcement, they were breaking the law. They had just gotten rid of Zuoan, and now Ma Cheng appeared. Why didn't they stop? Creak. At this moment, Ren Wuxuang pushed the door open and walked out. After a night of rest, she was glowing. She was even more charming than before. Qin Feiyang looked over and his eyes flashed slightly. He said, "Sister, contact Wang Hong immediately." Ren Wuxuang was stunned. She shook her head and said with a smile, "I lied to them. Although I know Wang Hong, we have not established a contract." "Ah." Qin Feiyang was stunned. Ren Wuxuang smiled and said, "But it is not difficult to inform Wang Hong. Have you thought it through?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. No matter what, Ma Cheng and the others could not be allowed to stay in the county of Yan. Ren Wuxuang took out the image crystal. Manager Li looked at the two of them suspiciously. He suddenly thought of something and hurriedly held out his hand. "Miss Wuxuang, wait." He looked at Qin Feiyang and frowned. "Are you going to tell the higher-ups about this?" Qin Feiyang did not deny it. Manager Li said anxiously, "But have you ever thought that you will implicate Yan Nanshan?" Qin Feiyang said, "If I was not afraid of implicating the hall master, I would have told him. But now I have no choice. I also believe that the hall master will agree with me." Chapter 263. Qin Feiyang nodded at Ren Wuxuang. Ren Wuxuang channeled his battle aura into the image crystal. In less than a moment, a young figure quickly appeared. It was a young man in purple. He was about 24 or 25 years old. His eyebrows were sharp, and he had an imposing appearance. One look and one could tell that his cultivation was high. "Wuxuang, it's really you." Seeing Ren Wuxuang, the young man was pleasantly surprised. Ren Wuxuang smiled. "Lu Xingchen, long time no see. Wuxuang, where have you been for the past 20 years? We've searched everywhere in the state capital, but there was no news of you. You didn't reply to our messages. We all thought you were dead." Lu Xingchen was puzzled. It was obvious that this person was close to Ren Wuxuang. Ren Wuxuang said, "It's a long story. I'll tell you when I get back to the state capital. Right now, I want to ask you for a favor." Lu Xingchen looked at him unhappily. "Why are you being so polite with me? Just say it." Ren Wuxuang said, "Help me inform Commander Wang Hong and ask him to come to the county of Yan." "You're in the county of Yan now?" Lu Xingchen was surprised. Ren Wuxuang nodded. Lu Xingchen said, "It's easy to inform him, but we need a reason." Ren Wuxuang said in a low voice, "Tell him that someone in the county of Yan is refining blood-killing pills." "What? Who's so bold?" Lu Xingchen was furious. Ren Wuxuang said, "It's too complicated to explain. Go and tell Wang Hong that I'll be waiting for him at the Soothing Lake in the Martial Imperial Hall." "Okay." Lu Xingchen nodded, and the image quickly dissipated. Qin Feiyang walked to Ren Wuxuang's side and said with a smile, sis, this Lu Xingchen seems to be interested in you. Ren Wuxuang rolled his eyes at him and warned, this person is not a kind person. When you go to the state capital in the future, you'd better stay away from him. Really? I couldn't tell. Qin Feiyang was shocked. Ren Wuxuang sighed and said, some people are too good at disguising themselves. You can't see their character from their appearance. In short, no matter where you go or who you face in the future, you have to be careful. Qin Feiyang was stunned. These words made him think of Uncle Yuan. During his 5 years in Iron Ox Town, Uncle Yuan had told him more than once. I wonder where the old man is now. Is your body okay? Whoosh. Suddenly, a white figure silently descended above the soothing lake. He was a middle-aged man with a square face. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a black eye patch over his left eye. It was Wang Hong. He was like air. Qin Feiyang and the others didn't notice his arrival. Wang Hong glanced below. His figure flickered and landed beside the lake. Who is it? Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. When they saw Wang Hong, they immediately cupped their hands and said, Greetings, Master Wang Hong. Wang Hong glanced at Qin Feiyang and Manager Li. His gaze landed on Ren Wuxuang. His cold face had a hint of joy. He took out the Heaven's Eye stone and expressionlessly said to Ren Wuxuang, Come here. Ren Wuxuang knew that Wang Hong wanted to confirm her identity. He walked up and placed his hand on the Heaven's Eye stone. A moment passed. The Heaven's Eye stone didn't show any reaction. Wang Hong put away the Heaven's Eye stone and sized up Ren Wuxuang. He said with dissatisfaction, After 20 years, you are only a 1-star combat emperor. You have disappointed me. I believe that if your grandfather knew, he would be extremely disappointed too. I'm sorry. Ren Wuxuang bowed and said. There was a trace of self-blame in his eyes. Grandfather? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Wang Hong sighed and said, We'll talk about your matter when we get back. Tell me, what's the matter with the blood demon pill? Ren Wuxuang looked at Qin Feiyang and said, You tell Senior Wang Hong. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Wang Hong also looked at Qin Feiyang. How did he become a 7-star martial ancestor so quickly? He saw through Qin Feiyang's cultivation with a glance. He was surprised. Senior Wang Hong, it's like this. Back then, there was a person called Zuan. Qin Feiyang told him everything he knew in detail. Including the matter of Ma Cheng and Elder he embezzling the pill formula. After listening, Wang Hong's indifferent face became even colder. Such a big matter and they didn't report it. It seems that they've grown wings. Qin Feiyang said, Senior, I have a request. Say it. Wang Hong said. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, Although Yan Nanshan is also wrong, he is an upright and selfless person. I hope you can forgive him. Wang Hong snorted and said, You're also guilty. Why are you still in the mood to care about him? What am I guilty of? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. The last time I came to Yen City, you should have told me the truth. That way, Jiang Jingyi wouldn't have died. But you didn't report it. If it weren't for Ma Cheng and Elder he embezzling the pill formula of the blood demon pill, I'm afraid that you would continue to help them hide it. Qin Feiyang, you're a smart young man. How could you do such a foolish thing? Wang Hong's face was full of anger. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's heart was filled with bitterness. Wang Hong said, I know that you care about Yan Nanshan and don't want him to be punished. But you should think about the big picture. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said sincerely, Senior, you're right. I'll keep it in mind. Wang Hong looked at him deeply and sighed. Fine. Since you're the one who came up with the plan to wipe out the Blood Slaughter Palace, I won't hold you responsible. Thank you, Senior. Then Yan Nanshan, Qin Feiyang looked at him pleadingly. I'll seriously consider how to punish Yan Nanshan. Now let's talk about Ma Cheng and Elder He. Are you sure they embezzled the pill formula of the blood demon pill? Wang Hong asked seriously. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, I'm sure. Old Eagle saw it with his own eyes. But I have no evidence. Wang Hong frowned. Ren Wuxuang looked at Wang Hong and said, I can testify. Wang Hong pondered for a moment and said, since you can testify, then it must be true. Inform Yan Nanshan, Prince Yan, Ma Cheng, and Elder He to see me immediately. Steward Li hurriedly took out an image crystal to inform the four of them. Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Hong, then looked at Ren Wuxuang. His heart was filled with disbelief. Before Ren Wuxuang spoke, Wang Hong was still hesitating. But when she testified, Wang Hong believed her without a doubt. What was the background of this cheap sister? And from Wang Hong's tone, Ren Wuxuang's grandfather seemed to have a powerful background. Why is Wang Hong here? And at such a critical moment? Yan Nanshan and the other three rushed to the soothing lake when they received the news. Whoosh! In less than 10 breaths. The four of them landed by the lake and walked to Wang Hong. They bowed and said, Greetings, my lord. Wang Hong glanced at the four of them and said nothing. He raised his arm and a ray of battle chi pierced through the air and entered Elder He's glabella. Ah! Elder He fell to the ground and died. His scream echoed in the air above the soothing lake and did not dissipate for a long time. What happened? Yan Nanshan, Prince Yan, and Ma Cheng turned pale when they saw this. Wang Hong looked at the three of them expressionlessly and asked, Do you know why I killed Elder He? Please tell us, my lord. The three of them bowed and said. Wang Hong said, because he took the formula of the blood-killing pill. The three of them trembled, but their expressions were slightly different. Yan Nanshan and Prince Yan were shocked. Obviously, they only knew about it now. On the other hand, panic flashed in Ma Cheng's eyes. Although he hid it well, Wang Hong and Qin Feiyang still caught it. Wang Hong shouted, Ma Cheng, do you know your crime? Ma Cheng trembled and knelt on the ground hurriedly. My lord, I know my crime. I did not supervise Elder He properly and allowed him to commit such a serious crime. Please punish me, my lord. Until now, you're still playing dumb. Tell me. Why did you take the formula of the blood-killing pill? Wang Hong shouted. Ma Cheng shook his head and said, I don't know either. Maybe Elder He was confused and did such a stupid thing. Wang Hong clenched his fists and said in a low voice, Don't test my patience. I'm not asking him, I'm asking you. Why did you take the formula? Me? My lord, I didn't. Did Qin Feiyang say something to you? My lord, I'm innocent. Qin Feiyang and I have a grudge. He wanted to use this opportunity to avenge a personal grudge. Please investigate. To tell you the truth, Qin Feiyang even found an excuse to destroy the Lin family last night. Although he is young, he is shrewd. Even we are inferior to him. Ma Cheng's eyes were full of resentment. Wang Hong raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. He nodded and said, Senior, I don't deny that I did have some selfish motives. Before he finished, Wang Hong waved his hand and said, We'll talk about this later. Then. He lowered his head and looked at Ma Cheng. Originally, considering that you have been in charge of the Danwang Hall for so many years and have worked hard, I wanted to give you a chance to admit your mistakes and turn over a new leaf. But I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. I hate people like you the most, who are incorrigible. Wang Hong raised his arm and battle chi appeared at his fingertips. His eyes were full of killing intent. Ma Cheng's heart trembled. He hurriedly said, My lord, please spare my life. I'm really innocent. Please don't listen to slander, die. Wang Hong said coldly, interrupting Ma Cheng. Whoosh! Ma Cheng's heart sank. He suddenly jumped out and grabbed Qin Feiyang with one hand and Ren Wuxuang with the other. Ma Cheng, what are you doing? Let's talk nicely. Don't mess around. Yan Nanshan's face suddenly changed and he hurriedly shouted. Wang Hong also lowered his arm. His eyes were gloomy. However, his other hand had retracted back into his sleeve without leaving a trace. Ha! I have indeed seen the formula for the blood spirit pill. It's in my head now. Come and get it if you dare. Ma Cheng held Qin Feiyang and Ren Wuxuang hostage. He looked at Wang Hong and the others unscrupulously and laughed wildly. Wang Hong frowned and said, So, you really want to refine the blood spirit pill? That's right. I sacrificed so much for the Danwang Hall. What did I get in return? Look at you, Lord Wang Hong. You didn't do anything and you can order us around. What right do you have? Isn't it because of your strength? As long as I have enough strength, even if I refined the blood spirit pill, who would dare to say a word? Chapter 264. What are you doing? Old man, don't you know whose territory this is? Let go of our boss immediately, or else don't blame Fat Lord for digging up your ancestral grave and making sure that your ancestors will not be able to rest in peace. Fatso, Lu Hong and Wolf King ran out from the pavilion with a fierce look on their faces. Luo Qinxue followed behind them with a worried look on her face. When Ma Cheng heard this, he was instantly enraged and said coldly, I will kill you all sooner or later. Enough. Yan Nanshan shouted and said in a deep voice, Ma Cheng, I didn't expect you to be so crazy. Brother Ma, you are looking down on the Emperor's prestige and blaspheming the Emperor's authority. Repent and be saved. I believe that Master Wang Hong will be lenient with you. King Yen also tried to persuade Ma Cheng. I am looking down on the Emperor's prestige and blaspheming the Emperor's authority. Why am I insulting the Emperor here? Who can do anything to me? If worse comes to worst, I will enter the land of ruins, change my appearance and hide my identity. Who can find me then? Ma Cheng's face was filled with madness. He already had nothing left to lose. Do you really think that you will be fine after escaping into the land of ruins? If that's the case, I can only say that you are a frog in a well. You don't know how big the outside world is. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Ma Cheng shouted, Shut up. If you dare to say another word, I will kill you all. You don't dare to kill us because you will only die if you do. However, using my sisters and my life in exchange for the life of an 8-star combat emperor, it's actually quite worth it. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Ma Cheng said coldly, Are you not afraid of death? Humans will die sooner or later. It is a worthy death to drag you down to hell with me. Qin Feiyang smiled and didn't care at all. Usually, the one who was scared in such a situation was the one who was being held hostage. Instead, it was Ma Cheng, the person who held the hostage, who couldn't help but panic. No, I have to leave quickly. He muttered secretly. If this continued, it would only be worse for him. If anyone dares to chase after me, I will kill them. Ma Cheng swept a cold glance at Wang Hong and the others. He prepared to soar into the sky with Qin Feiyang and Ren Wuxuang. What should we do? Yan Nanshan's heart was burning with anxiety as he looked at Wang Hong for help. At the same time, Qin Feiyang winked at Ren Wuxuang. Ma Cheng, there's no need for you to do anything. My sister and I will end our own lives. Before he could finish his sentence, the two of them raised their hands at the same time and patted their chests. Damn it. Ma Cheng was shocked and hurriedly stopped the two. If the two of them really died here, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he grew 9 pairs of wings. However, just as he was panicking, Wang Hong decisively made a move. Battle Chi shot out from his fingertips and entered Ma Cheng's glabella at lightning speed. Blood gushed out. Bang! Ma Cheng immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and fell to the ground powerlessly. He was dead. Who? Yan Nanshan, Fatso, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyang also patted his chest with lingering fear. Although he looked relaxed earlier, he was actually extremely nervous. He kicked Ma Cheng's body and muttered, "It's finally settled. Black Bear King, Elder Feng, you can rest in peace now." Immediately after, Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Hong in confusion. Wang Hong could have killed Ma Cheng immediately before, but why didn't he do so? Wang Hong smiled and stretched out his hand that had retracted into his sleeve. In his hand, there was an image crystal that emitted a faint brilliance. Wang Hong explained, "Although I believe Ren Wushuang, Ma Cheng is after all the hall master of the Danwang Hall. Now that he is dead, I have to give the mansion master an explanation." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. It turned out that Wang Hong was still forcing Ma Cheng to tell the truth. Even he was being used. Indeed, the older, the wiser. Wang Hong said confidently, "Even if Ma Cheng held you hostage, it would be easy for me to kill him. However, I didn't expect you to be so smart." Qin Feiyang scratched his head and laughed dryly. He was a little embarrassed by the compliment. Wang Hong's face became extremely cold again. He said, "However, you killed the entire Lin family. This crime is punishable by death." Qin Feiyang's face changed. He hurriedly said, "I can explain." Wang Hong said, "I'm not interested in the feud between you. There's no need to explain." Looking at Wang Hong's face and hearing his tone, Yan Nanshan, Fatso, and the others couldn't help but feel anxious. However, the king of Yen was gloating at the side. Wang Hong swept his gaze over everyone present, taking in everyone's expressions. His eyes flashed slightly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "I'll give you a chance. If you can enter the state capital alive, I'll let bygones be bygones." "Thank you, senior." Qin Feiyang was stunned. He hurriedly cupped his hands and thanked him. This was because this was not a punishment at all. Wang Hong had said that if Qin Feiyang didn't go to the state capital with him, he would have to rely on his own efforts if he wanted to go there in the future. Therefore, strictly speaking, this was actually a test. "That's great." Yan Nanshan and the others were overjoyed when they came back to their senses. Only the king of Yan's expression was a little unpleasant. Wang Hong said, "Don't be happy too early. You're not allowed to be escorted to the state capital. You'll have to rely on your own efforts. I won't let you down." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said. Wang Hong nodded. He looked at Yan Nanshan and the king of Yen and said coldly, "Zhua An's matter is very serious. How dare you hide it from me? How should you be punished?" The two of them were shocked. They turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's face was full of apology. This was his apology to Yan Nanshan. Wang Hong shouted, "Don't look at him." The two of them trembled. They hurriedly said, "We're sorry. We're willing to accept the punishment." Wang Hong said coldly, "I'll report this matter to the prefecture master and ask him to make a decision. As for the two of you, hurry up and clean up the mess." "Yes." The two of them bowed and replied. This is outrageous." Wang Hong glanced at the two of them and snorted. He waved his hand and a teleportation door quickly opened. He said, "Ren Wushuang, come back with me." Ren Wushuang was a little hesitant. He glanced at Qin Feiyang from the corner of his eyes. Wang Hong frowned and said, "He has his own path to take. Don't interfere." Qin Feiyang looked at Ren Wushuang and said with a smile, "Sister, don't worry about me. I'll go to the state capital to look for you." Ren Wushuang nodded and said, "All right. Be careful on your way." Qin Feiyang, after crossing the desert of death and the sea of despair, you will reach the boundary of the state capital. Take care of yourself. Don't tell a third person about the route to the state capital. Wang Hong stepped into the teleportation door. But his voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang was stunned on the spot. This was a soul sound transmission. Only an existence that surpassed the War Emperor could do this. Ren Wuxuang also brought Shuaying and Old Eagle and walked into the teleportation door. Soon, the teleportation door disappeared. I never thought that Wang Hong's strength would be so strong. He has surpassed the War Emperor and is an expert that people look up to. Qin Feiyang muttered. But soon after, a bitter smile crawled up his face again. To go to the state capital, he actually had to pass through the desert of death? He had personally experienced the danger of the desert of death. With his little strength, he was simply sending himself to his death. Not to mention the sea of despair. Qin Feiyang, you are really ruthless. After using us, you reported this matter to the higher-ups. I have never seen such a sinister person like you. An ear-piercing voice pulled Qin Feiyang back to reality. He raised his head and looked at King Yan. King Yan's face was filled with resentment. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, in terms of being sinister, I reckon that even if 10 of me were added together, I wouldn't be able to catch up to you. Yan Nanshan, did you see that? This is the disciple that you have been protecting. He is a white-eyed wolf. Sooner or later, you will be tricked to death by him. King Yan sneered and left through the air. Yan Nanshan frowned. Qin Feiyang said, Palace Master. Yan Nanshan reached out his hand to stop him from continuing. His brows relaxed as he smiled. I know that it was because of Ma Cheng and Elder He that you reported it. I won't blame you. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, Thank you, Palace Master. Yan Nanshan said, All right, don't blame yourself. Have a good rest. I will leave first. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yan Nanshan waved his hand and swept up Ma Cheng and Elder He's corpses. He turned into a stream of light and left quickly. Did I really do something wrong? Qin Feiyang muttered to himself. Kid, you didn't do anything wrong. If you didn't do this, Ma Cheng and Old He would cause trouble sooner or later. By then, the situation would be even more serious. When the matter is exposed, Yan Nanshan will face an even greater punishment. Thinking about it, you still helped Yan Nanshan by reporting it now. Steward Li patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder and comforted him with a smile. Qin Feiyang felt a little complicated. Steward Li smiled, All right, I should go back and deal with the aftermath. Madam, follow me back to the treasure pavilion. Luo Qinxue nodded and said, Feiyang, Steward Li is right. You are helping Yan Nanshan, not harming him. You don't have to blame yourself. Qin Feiyang said, Yes, when I am done, I will go to the treasure pavilion to visit you. You must take care of yourself. All right. Luo Qinxue smiled and left with Steward Li. They are all gone. It is finally over. Lu Hong let out a long sigh of relief. Fatso said, It is not over yet. Don't forget about King Pan and that strong man in golden armor. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, They are not in a hurry. We will deal with them later. The only thing I am concerned about now is how will the Palace Master punish the Palace Master. If Yan Nanshan died because of this, he would blame himself for the rest of his life. Whoosh! At this moment, Elder Wan flew through the air and landed by the lake. In his hand was a middle-aged man. It was Lin Chang, whom he had not seen for a long time. Elder Wan threw Lin Chang in front of Qin Feiyang and said, Not long ago, we found him in the Danwang Hall. After discussing with Elder Ji, we think it is better to let you deal with him. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and looked at Lin Chang. Suddenly, a cold light shot out from his eyes. Lin Chang looked panicked as he crawled to Qin Feiyang and begged, Feiyang, Uncle really knows his mistake this time. For Yi's sake, please give Uncle a way out. Then did you give Yi a way out? As Yi's father, you colluded with the Blood Slaughter Palace to deal with your own daughter. If I did not send Yi away first, she would have been killed by you. Even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. Chapter 265. I was just muddle-headed at that time. I swear that I will turn over a new leaf and take good care of Yi. Lin Chang's face was as pale as a sheet. He knew that Qin Feiyang wanted to kill him. Don't mention Yi in front of me. You have lost the right to be Yi's father from the moment you joined the blood-slaying palace. I have spared you many times. This time, I will not let you go again. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Lin Chang roared, if you kill me, Yi will hate you. Qin Feiyang pointed at him. A piece of ice crystal appeared on his index finger. Lin Chang's glabella split open and blood gushed out. His eyes were filled with unwillingness as he fell to the ground. Blood splattered everywhere. I'd rather have Yi hate me than continue seeing you use her and hurt her. Qin Feiyang whispered. His eyes calmed down and he said to Fatso, bury him. Boss, you are too kind. If it was Fat Lord, he would have thrown a scum like him into the mountains to feed the beasts. Fatso's face was full of disdain. He carried Lin Chang's body and left quickly. Phew. Qin Feiyang heaved a long sigh. He looked up at Elder Wan and asked, did the temple master tell you? Yes. Elder Wan nodded. Qin Feiyang asked, will you and Elder Ji blame me? It has already happened. What's the point of blaming you? Elder Wan shook his head and sighed. This matter is too serious. I am afraid that the temple master will not only be dismissed but also lose his life. He won't. I will ensure his life. Qin Feiyang said with a firm gaze. I hope so. Elder Wan sighed deeply, turned around, and flew away. Time flew by. 2 days later. Zhua An's matter was finally settled. However, the discussions in various places did not stop. There was also a piece of news that spread rapidly in the city. It was said that Qin Feiyang's conscience was eaten by a dog and he had betrayed Yan Nanshan. Many people expressed their doubts. Perhaps Qin Feiyang had his own reasons for doing so. But there was no doubt. His image took a nosedive. Many people were cursing him behind his back. Qin Feiyang didn't get angry when he received the news. However, Fatso and Lu Hong immediately wanted to fight for him. They had also guessed that the king of Yen must be behind this. However, he was stopped by Qin Feiyang. As long as he had a clear conscience, it was fine as long as he had a clear conscience. 5 days later. Wang Hong descended once again. Martial Imperial Hall, Conference Hall. All the war emperors of the county of Yen were summoned. This included the various big shots of Star Moon City. There was the manager of the Precious Treasure Pavilion, the 4 law enforcement elders of the Danwang Hall and the Martial Imperial Hall, as well as the city lord of Star Moon City. It was Qin Feiyang's first time meeting these people. Wang Hong sat at the top. The various big shots stood in the center of the hall, their expressions extremely respectful. Qin Feiyang stood outside the door, looking at Wang Hong nervously without saying a word. Don't worry. Wang Hong is a good person. I'm sure the governor is a reasonable person. He won't hurt the palace lord. Fatso, Lu Hong, and Wolf King stood behind Qin Feiyang and comforted him softly. In the hall, there was dead silence. Wang Hong glanced at the group of people and said in a deep voice, is everyone here? Yan Nanshan said, Sir, everyone is here. Very well, I'll announce it now. After careful consideration by the governor and the emperor, I've made the following decision. Yan Nanshan and Wei Zhongyang concealed the truth and almost caused the county of Yen to be destroyed. With immediate effect. The king of Yen and the Martial Imperial Hall are dismissed from their positions as palace lords. Follow me to the state capital and await your punishment. Jiang Zhengyi and Ma Cheng are dead. We won't pursue the matter. Any objections? Wang Hong said loudly. No. Yan Nanshan and the rest shook their heads. However, the king of Yen turned to look at Qin Feiyang outside the door. His eyes were filled with hatred. I don't think any of you would dare to object to such a grave mistake. Wang Hong snorted and took out a document. He continued, "This is the appointment document from the governor. The Martial Imperial Hall's Palace Lord will be succeeded by Elder Ji Shuaji. The Danwang Hall's Palace Lord will be succeeded by Wu Yun, the law-enforcing elder of the Danwang Hall in Xingyue City. The County King of Pan County will be succeeded by Zhang Yi, the City Lord of Xingyue City. The Chief Pavilion Lord of Precious Treasure Pavilion will be succeeded by Steward Li Ji. The rest of you will do your best to assist them in managing the county of Yen." Wang Hong put away the document after he finished reading. "Yes, sir." Everyone bowed and said. Wang Hong stood up and glanced at everyone. He said coldly, "I'm giving all of you a warning. If something similar happens again, kill without mercy." Everyone shuddered. Wang Hong opened a portal and said to Yan Nanshan and Wei Zhongyang, "Let's go." Wei Zhongyang was the Prince of Yan's real name. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He hurriedly chased after Wang Hong and said, "Senior, wait. What's the matter?" Wang Hong frowned. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Senior, please give us a way out." Wang Hong glanced at him and did not say anything. He stepped into the portal with Yan Nanshan and Wei Zhongyang. "Qin Feiyang, I'll give you 5 years. If you don't report to the state capital after 5 years, Yan Nanshan will be executed in public." At the same time, Wang Hong's voice rang in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang was stunned. What was going on? Was he afraid that he would run away? Once Wang Hong left, everyone present could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Immediately, there was a wave of compliments. "Steward Li, congratulations on being promoted to Chief Pavilion Lord. Please take care of us in the future. Elder Ji, Elder Wu, and City Lord Zhang Yi, congratulations too." It was all just for show. It sounded nice. In reality, it was meaningless. After a while, they left in 2s and 3s. Zhang Yi walked in front of Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Little brother, if you're free in the future, come visit the palace more often." "Of course." Qin Feiyang smiled. Wu Yun also walked up and cupped his hands. "Brother Qin, Ma Cheng is no longer here. How about we write off our past grievances?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Wu Yun was overjoyed and said with a smile, "If that's the case, I'll officially invite Brother Qin to come to the Danwang Hall and be the law-enforcing elder." Law-enforcing elder? Fatso and Lu Hong were dumbfounded. If Qin Feiyang agreed, it would be tantamount to setting a precedent. This was because there had never been a martial arts grandmaster in the Danwang Hall as the law-enforcing elder. Steward Li, Elder Wan, the beautiful woman, and Zhang Yi froze on the spot and looked at Wu Yun in disbelief. Qin Feiyang was also stunned for a while. Wu Yun smiled and said, "If it were someone else, they wouldn't be qualified. But you're different. I have confidence in you. I hope Brother Qin can consider it." The beautiful woman said unhappily, "Wu Yun, you're a new official and you're trying to poach someone from the Martial Imperial Hall right in front of me. That's ridiculous. Ji Shua, you can't blame me for this." Who asked Qin Feiyang to be so outstanding? Wu Yun didn't feel awkward at all. "So, you're blaming me?" Qin Feiyang touched his nose and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Zhang Yi's eyes flashed and said, "Then I'll join in. Brother Qin, I'll leave the position of the Grand Commander for you. Let me tell you, don't go overboard." The beautiful woman was furious. Cough cough. Elder Wan let out a dry cough and said meaningfully, "Let them poach, as long as they have the ability." The beautiful woman was stunned. Then, she came to a realization and a playful smile appeared on her face. Qin Feiyang brought his fists together and said, "Thank you for your kindness, but I'll be heading to the state capital soon. So, I can only apologize." The state capital. Wu Yun and Zhang Yi were stunned. They couldn't help but smile bitterly. That's right. How could the county of Yen keep such a monstrous talent? The state capital was the stage for this kid. The two of them didn't stay and left together. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He withdrew his gaze and looked at the beautiful woman and Manager Li. He chuckled and said, Hall Master Ji, Pavilion Master Li, congratulations. Do you have any gifts? How can you still smile? The beautiful woman glared at him and said worriedly, I wonder what kind of punishment Yan Nanshan will face. Don't worry. He'll be fine. Qin Feiyang smiled. 5 years was a long time. He was confident that he could report to the state capital. You're so confident? The beautiful woman was stunned and said in surprise, Did Lord Wang Hong secretly tell you something? This is a secret. Qin Feiyang smiled mysteriously. The beautiful woman laughed and scolded, Brat, are you asking for a beating? Well, I'll believe you for the time being. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, looked up at the beautiful woman, and said, I want to ask you for a favor. The beautiful woman asked, Lin Yi? Qin Feiyang nodded and sighed, the only thing I'm worried about is her. The beautiful woman said, Then, you might as well bring her along. I don't dare. Feng Cheng asked me to take care of Feng Ling Er, but she died. Jiang Jingyi asked me to take care of Luo Qingzhu, but he died in the end. Lu Ji handed Ling Yunfei to me, but he's dead now. Maybe I'm a jinx. Qin Feiyang laughed at himself. The beautiful woman, Steward Li, and Elder Wan looked at each other with a complicated gaze. People at Qin Feiyang's age were basically still in their parents' arms. However, this young man was roaming the outside world alone, carrying one burden after another. They really couldn't figure out what Qin Feiyang's parents were thinking. Why did they put so much pressure on him? He was just a 16-year-old child. Sigh. The beautiful woman sighed faintly and smiled, I'll ask Elder Wan to bring Lin Yi to Yen City now. Let her have a good time with you. Qin Feiyang said, Forget it. Meeting will only increase sadness. I should set off. Leaving so soon. The beautiful woman and Elder Wan frowned. After getting along for so long, they already had feelings for each other. They were a little reluctant to part suddenly. All good things must come to an end. Thank you, seniors, for taking care of me during this time. See you again. By the way, take care of Lu Ji. Qin Feiyang sincerely bowed to the two. Then, he sent Fatso and Lu Hong into the castle. Together with Wolf King, he followed Steward Li to Treasure Pavilion. He went to Treasure Pavilion mainly to say goodbye to Luo Qinxue. Knowing that Qin Feiyang was leaving, Luo Qinxue was also very reluctant. Chapter 266. Leaving Yen City. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King followed the main road and headed towards Xingyue City. They traveled during the day and entered the castle to cultivate at night. It only took them 5 days to reach the vicinity of Xingyue City. But he did not enter Xingyue City. He only looked from afar and continued to rush towards the desert of death. The people he met along the way all wanted to travel with him. Firstly, they wanted to get some supreme-grade elixirs. Secondly, they wanted to seek protection. Because with the current strength of the man and wolf, they could easily pass through the first 2 dangerous points. But they were all rejected by Qin Feiyang. He did not have the time or the mood to slowly waste time with these people. They smoothly arrived at the second safe point. The safe point was very simple. There was only a simple straw shed that could barely shelter them from the wind and rain. At this moment, there were more than 30 people gathered under the straw shed. Some were resting with their eyes closed. Some were discussing in a low voice. There were also a few people sitting by the bonfire barbecuing meat. These people were all adventurers going to the desert of death. There were different degrees of injuries on their bodies and they emitted a pungent smell of blood. It could be said that everyone here was not to be trifled with. But when the man and wolf arrived, everyone stood up in unison and the flattery on their faces could be clearly seen. Qin Feiyang also nodded politely. After a short rest, they were ready to go to the third dangerous point. Brother Qin, please wait a moment. Seeing this, the few people who were barbecuing hurriedly stood up. Qin Feiyang stopped and turned to look at them in confusion. Brother Qin, we all know that you are very strong, but the beasts in the third dangerous point are really terrifying. I remember last year, there was a 9-star martial ancestor who thought that he was stronger than others and disdained to be companions. In the end, he was torn to pieces by those beasts. Brother Qin, we are not looking down on you. We are sincerely inviting you to go to the desert of death with us. The few people said. The others also stood up and tried to persuade him. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looked at each other with a trace of surprise in their eyes. Qin Feiyang asked in confusion, what kind of beasts are they? It's a group of flying centipedes. One of them said as he kept swallowing his saliva. His eyes were filled with fear. Qin Feiyang felt a chill in his heart. The flying centipede was a venomous insect that made people stay away from it. Not only could it spit out a kind of numbing venom, it could also fly in the air for a short period of time. If he was bitten by it and didn't take the antidote pill in time, he would definitely lose his life. Thank you for your kind intentions. However, I still have urgent matters to attend to, so I can only leave first. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, then left with Wolf King without looking back. He really doesn't know what's good for him. Everyone looked at the backs of the man and the wolf, their eyes flashing with an astonishing ferocious light. Something's wrong. There's no way he doesn't know how terrifying the flying centipede is. He must have something to rely on, that's why he dares to go alone. Let's hurry up and catch up. We might be able to fish in troubled waters and muddle our way through. The eyes of the group of people lit up, and they immediately chased after Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. Wolf King looked back at them and asked in confusion, Little Qin Zi, brother flying centipede has also seen it. With our strength, we can't get through it all. Why don't we join forces with them? Qin Feiyang said with a smile, because I know the weakness of the flying centipede. What weakness? Wolf King was surprised. There's a kind of spiritual medicine called heart-rotting grass. The smell it emits will make the flying centipede dizzy. As long as we put a stalk of heart-rotting grass on us, they won't dare to approach us. Fatso, look around and see if there's any heart-rotting grass. Qin Feiyang said. Fatso, who was in the castle, immediately searched in his Qinkuan bag when he heard that. Will it really work? Wolf King expressed his doubts. Whoosh! But at this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air suddenly rang out. Behind Qin Feiyang, 2 black arrows appeared. Like 2 poisonous snakes bearing their fangs, they shot toward the man and the wolf. Be careful. Qin Feiyang's body and mind tightened. As he pushed Wolf King away, he moved his body horizontally. The 2 black arrows, with amazing sharpness, brushed past them and stabbed into the soil in front of them. Plumes of black smoke rose up. It's poisonous. The man and the wolf flew into a rage and turned to look at the group of people behind them. Those people were also bewildered. Brother Qin, don't misunderstand. We didn't shoot the arrows. Please believe us. We wouldn't do such a thing. Seeing Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looking at them, they hurriedly explained. You're the only ones behind us. Who else could it be? Wolf King's eyes flashed with a fierce light. It really wasn't us. Those 2 arrows were shot from the forest next to us. Who shot the arrows in the dark? Come out. The group of people glared at the forest on both sides, revealing a ruthless look. Still pretending. Wolf King was furious and his fierce aura erupted. Don't be impulsive. Qin Feiyang grabbed him and glanced at the forest on both sides. His eyes flashed and he said telepathically, let's observe the situation first. The man and the wolf turned and continued to move forward, but they were secretly vigilant. The group of people behind them also breathed a sigh of relief. Although on the surface, it didn't seem like they shot the arrows, Qin Feiyang didn't dare to lower his guard. Because these people were all desperados and were very good at disguising. But for a long time, nothing unusual happened. Strange. Who is it? Qin Feiyang muttered. In the entire county of Yan, almost all the people who had a grudge against him had been killed. This shouldn't have happened. Could it be King Pan and Gold King? That couldn't be right. Not to mention that they were far away in the county of Pan, just based on their strength, there was no need for them to use such underhanded means. Qin Feiyang pondered for a long time. In the end, he decided to target the group of people behind him. Because only they were the most likely suspects. Several hours passed. Qin Feiyang stopped at a certain spot and took out a map. This was the map that Luo Qingzhu had drawn for him. The map was still there, but the people were dead. Looking at the map, Qin Feiyang felt inexplicably sad. She was such a kind-hearted girl, why didn't the heavens pity her? Whoosh! At this time, the murderous intent reappeared. 2 pitch-black arrows streaked across the sky like lightning, shooting towards the man and the wolf. Little Qin Zi, get out of the way! Wolf King shouted. It knocked Qin Feiyang away and quickly lay on the ground. The arrows flew over its head. The amazing sharpness and the cold aura made its fur stand on end. Qin Feiyang was also furious. He put away the map and looked at the group of people behind him. His eyes were full of murderous intent. Bastards, I'm going to kill you. Wolf King jumped up and rushed toward the group of people with amazing ferocity. Brother Qin, Lord Wolf, it really wasn't us. We'll take responsibility for what we did. Who's the bastard? Come out. If you have the guts, come out and admit it. What kind of man are you? The group of people panicked. Howl. With a deafening howl, Wolf King rushed forward. A strong man was directly bitten in the throat and died on the spot. Beast, don't go too far. I already said it wasn't us, but you still killed the innocent. Unforgivable. Do you really think we're afraid of you? Brothers, kill it. The group of people mobilized their battle chi and used martial arts techniques, fiercely rushing toward Wolf King. Wolf King used the 7 killing steps, killing 1 person with each step. Qin Feiyang didn't make a move. He glanced at the battlefield and the surrounding jungle. Suddenly, an arrow pierced through a leaf and appeared in the nearby jungle. Qin Feiyang's body and mind tightened. His body leaned back. Cold light surged in his eyes. When the arrow flew in front of him, Binding Tiger hand stretched out, directly grabbed the arrow, and then threw it back. The arrow, like a bolt of lightning, swept into the jungle. Ah! At that moment, a cry of surprise sounded somewhere in the jungle. Qin Feiyang was about to chase in. Howl. At this time, Wolf King suddenly let out a painful howl. He hurriedly looked over and saw Wolf King lying on the ground. There was an arrow in his thigh, and the tip of the arrow was still bleeding. And the blood was turning black at a speed visible to the naked eye. Damn it! Qin Feiyang secretly cursed. Now, he finally figured out the purpose of the person who secretly shot the arrow. He wanted him and Wolf King to misunderstand that group of people. When they had friction with that group of people, he would take the opportunity to sneak attack and kill them in one shot. What a good plan. But who was it? He used the shifting smoke steps and rushed toward Wolf King. Whoosh! But at this time, several more arrows appeared and shot toward Qin Feiyang. Obviously, they wanted to stop him from saving Wolf King. Qin Feiyang was as light as a swallow and quickly dodged. He shouted to that group of people, quickly give it the antidote. Half of that group of people had been killed by Wolf King. Corpses were everywhere. The remaining dozen people were also looking at the jungle in surprise at this moment. But when they heard Qin Feiyang's roar, they suddenly became fierce. Why? It killed more than a dozen of our brothers and wants us to save it, is that possible? Now, we will kill it in front of you. More than a dozen people laughed sinisterly and rushed toward Wolf King. But they underestimated the wolf's character. Even if a wolf was on the verge of death, it would fight back with its life. It would never wait for death. Wolf King stubbornly got up and quickly used the 7 kill steps. Its ferocious nature was completely exposed. Ah! Accompanied by a series of screams, people kept falling one after another. In less than 5 breaths. Of the dozen people, only 5 were left. These 5 people were scared out of their wits. They didn't even pick up the weapons on the ground. They turned around and began to flee. Ow! Wolf King howled and chased crazily. But before he could take 2 steps, he fell to the ground with a bang, and black blood kept coming out of his mouth. The 5 people heard the movement and stopped. When they looked back, their eyes suddenly revealed a sinister smile. Without saying a word, they rushed toward Wolf King. Damn it! Qin Feiyang was burning with anxiety. Arrows constantly flew out from the jungle on both sides, blocking the road ahead. The tip of each arrow was smeared with poison. The air was filled with a foul smell. Seeing that Wolf King was about to die at the hands of those 5 people. Stop. We have all been used. As long as you save it, I will not only take you through the 3rd dangerous point, but also give you the best quality pill. Chapter 267. One of the brawny men grinned. Unless you give each of us a potential pill, there's no need to talk about it. Are you worthy of taking a potential pill? At this time, the dying Wolf King suddenly let out a fierce howl and pounced again. The brawny man's entire head was bitten off. Bang! 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 The head fell to the ground and rolled down the slope. There was still a hideous smile on his face. The other 4 people were scared stiff on the spot. The smell of urine permeated the air. Wolf King's eyes revealed a fierce light. In the blink of an eye, it finished off the 4 people. Bang! Wolf King also fell to the ground. This time, it didn't get up again. The person hiding in the forest and shooting arrows couldn't help but tremble with fear when he saw this scene. Wolves were truly a frightening creature. Whoosh! 2 arrows shot out explosively. The target was Wolf King. Although it was deeply poisoned, because it was too fierce, the person hiding in the dark couldn't help but have the thought of ending its life quickly. At least 5 people. Qin Feiyang muttered. He took out a top-grade antidote pill and threw it into his mouth. Immediately, he rushed toward Wolf King like lightning. Puff! 4 arrows shot into his thigh, lower abdomen, and arm. Immediately, blood spurted out like a fountain. But he didn't stop at all. Enduring the heart-wrenching pain, he pounced forward and grabbed Wolf King's tail. In the next moment, they entered the castle. Boss! Fatso and Lu Hong immediately ran up. Without waiting for Qin Feiyang's order, Fatso took out a top-grade antidote pill and stuffed it into Wolf King's mouth. Damn it, who is it? Qin Feiyang half-knelt on the ground, his eyes gloomy to the extreme. Bear with it. Lu Hong said softly and quickly pulled out the 4 arrows from Qin Feiyang's body. Throughout the entire process, Qin Feiyang didn't even frown. Lu Hong took out a best-grade healing pill and fed it to Qin Feiyang. Then, she grabbed the arrows and examined them carefully. Soon, a cold light flashed in her eyes. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, according to my observation, the materials used to make these arrows are very expensive, and the craftsmanship is very delicate. Only the 4 superpowers have the wealth and ability to make these arrows. Fatso frowned and said, but we have already killed those who should be killed. Who would still plot against us? Lu Hong shook her head. She couldn't figure it out either. Fatso said, could it be the newly appointed Wu Yun and Zhang Yi? Qin Feiyang stood up and said in a deep voice, there's no need to guess. We'll know once we catch them and ask them. The effect of a supreme-grade healing pill was much stronger than that of an ordinary healing pill. As he spoke, the bleeding stopped. His wounds were also healing. It was time to counterattack. Then you have to be careful, Lu Hong warned. Qin Feiyang nodded, grabbed Chang Shui, and appeared on the path. However, there was silence all around. There were no more arrows. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and directly jumped into the forest. But what entered his line of sight, apart from the bushes, weeds, and trees, there were only beasts. Those beasts were also trembling at this moment, and their eyes were filled with fear. Qin Feiyang climbed up a big tree, stood at a commanding height, and scanned below. He didn't even find a shadow. He couldn't figure it out. Even the beasts were afraid. Those people must be very strong, but why were they hiding? Was it because they were afraid of exposing their identity? That's right. He had the castle. It wasn't so easy to kill him. Perhaps this was the reason why the other party had been hiding all this time. However, since the assassination didn't succeed, they would definitely continue. Qin Feiyang didn't waste any time and returned to the path. After walking for about a few hundred meters, he stopped beside a black stone and looked ahead. 100 meters away was the third danger point. He entered the castle and saw that Wolf King was still unconscious. He frowned and said, "How is it?" "It's basically fine. It's just that the venom has been integrated into its blood. It will take some time to completely clear it. Fortunately, we have the supreme-grade detoxification pill," Lu Hong said. This kind of poison was very terrifying. Ordinary detoxification pills couldn't completely eradicate it. If there was no supreme-grade detoxification pill, Wolf King would definitely be in danger now. Qin Feiyang's eyes were extremely gloomy. He looked at Fatso and said, "Did you find the heart-rotting grass I asked you to find?" Fatso nodded. After looting Pan Wang's treasury, as long as it wasn't a particularly rare medicinal herb, Fatso had it on him. The heart-rotting grass was light black and had 3 leaves. Each leaf was as long as a chopstick and as wide as a thumb. It emitted a strong smell of rotting corpses. It was very unpleasant. Fatso pinched his nose and threw it to Qin Feiyang with a look of disgust. He urged, "Quickly take it away." Qin Feiyang caught it and put it in his arms. Although the heart-rotting grass was not popular, it was one of the main medicinal herbs to refine the disaster pill. After leaving the castle, Qin Feiyang walked towards the danger point. The corner of his eyes had always been paying attention to the jungle on both sides. Because the danger point was the best place to ambush. He believed that the person in the dark wouldn't let go of this good opportunity. Squeak. As soon as he entered the danger point, a strange sound that made one's scalp tingle came from the jungle on both sides. Black poisonous insects swarmed towards Qin Feiyang. Some flew in the air. Some crawled on the ground. They were pitch black and longer than chopsticks. There were countless tentacles under their abdomens. They were densely packed and looked extremely terrifying. Whoosh! Sure enough, at this time, several cold arrows came from behind. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. He used the smoke-gathering steps and quickly dodged. And those flying centipedes, just as they were about to drown Qin Feiyang, suddenly turned around and retreated into the jungle as if they were running for their lives. How is this possible? In the jungle behind, another exclamation sounded. Obviously, he was shocked by this scene. Humph! Qin Feiyang coldly snorted inwardly. He abruptly turned around, and like a bolt of lightning, he shot towards the place where the voice came from. As soon as he entered the jungle, he saw a black-clothed man with a dull expression in a patch of grass more than 10 meters away. At the same time, in other directions, there were 6 black-clothed men. Unexpectedly, there were actually 7 people. And they all looked quite strong. Qin Feiyang hurriedly glanced and rushed towards the black-clothed man closest to him. But suddenly, he stopped and looked at the middle-aged man standing on the left. His face suddenly had a trace of disbelief. That person was actually Commander Su of the royal family. At the wedding ceremony of the eldest prince and Lin Yi, this person made things difficult for him, so he would never forget it for the rest of his life. In the blink of an eye. "Oh no, we've been discovered." The black-clothed man quivered and shouted suddenly. Commander Su's face also changed, and he shouted sternly, "Kill him quickly." The 7 people immediately rushed towards Qin Feiyang with murderous intent. Qin Feiyang said gloomily, "Commander Su, why are you doing this?" This person was a warlord. He was no match for him, so he couldn't fight him head-on. Seeing that Commander Su didn't answer, Qin Feiyang decisively turned around and ran towards the danger point. Wherever he passed, the flying centipedes he encountered retreated to the side as if they were fleeing for their lives. This scene made Commander Su and the others extremely incredulous. "Commander, what should we do?" the black-clothed man said in horror. Among the 7 people, only Commander Su was a warlord. The other 6 were 9-star martial arts grandmasters. When they saw the black mass of flying centipedes, they couldn't help but retreat. "Get out of the way." Captain Su rushed forward and let out a roar. His battle chi swept out like a torrent. Swathes of flying centipedes turned into a pool of blood on the spot, like a rain of blood. It was a shocking scene. The strength of a warlord couldn't be underestimated. Although these flying centipedes could spit out venom, they couldn't get close to Commander Su. Qin Feiyang frowned. If this continued, he would be caught sooner or later. Suddenly, his body and mind tensed up, and a strong sense of danger rose in his heart. Squeak! Accompanied by an ear-piercing cry, a black stream of light shot out from the forest in front of him. It was also a flying centipede, and it was a meter long. Just looking at it made his scalp numb, let alone fighting it. Boom! A black beam of light shot out from its mouth. This was battle chi. This meant that it had a warlord realm poisonous beast. Qin Feiyang was the first to bear the brunt. Seeing that he was about to be engulfed by the battle chi, he instantly disappeared without a trace. And that battle chi surged towards Commander Su. Humph! Commander Su snorted and pointed his finger in the air. His battle chi was like a rainbow, colliding with the black battle chi. Boom! Crack! At that moment, a destructive wave of air rolled out in all directions like a tide. Bushes, weeds, trees, and those flying centipedes were all turned into ashes. Within a radius of tens of meters, it became a land of death in the blink of an eye. Seeing countless flying centipedes die, the warlord flying centipede immediately became ferocious. It rushed in front of Commander Su and the others, raised its head and spat out venom. Immediately, the venom poured down from the sky like a rainstorm. "Commander Su, let's retreat." The black-clothed burly man and the other 5 tried to persuade him, but their faces were all pale. It's only equivalent to a 1-star warlord. What can it do? Commander Su's face was full of disdain. His battle chi surged and condensed into a battle chi barrier to protect the 2 of them. The venom fell and was completely isolated. At this moment, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air behind the warlord flying centipede. He turned his head and grinned at Commander Su, then ran toward the small path without looking back. "How dare you provoke me? You're courting death." Enraged, Commander Su led the other 6 cultivators toward the flying centipede king like a shooting star, whereupon he unleashed a fist strike. The warlord flying centipede wailed and was sent flying. Its 1-meter-long body suddenly exploded in midair. This time, he had poked a hornet's nest. The flying centipedes from all directions seemed to have gone mad as they swarmed towards him from all directions. The black-clothed burly man and the other 5 were immediately paralyzed with fear. It was Commander Su who used the barrier to drag them along and forced their way through. After a while, Commander Su fought his way out of the encirclement and came to the small path. He looked ahead and saw Qin Feiyang disappear around a corner. "Little bastard, I won't let you go." Commander Su's killing intent surged. No matter how many flying centipedes there were, they could not stop him. He quickly rushed out of the danger zone and came to the corner. Chapter 268. The path ahead was no longer a straight line. There were many twists and turns, and the trees on both sides blocked his line of sight. Commander Su stood at the corner with a gloomy expression. Since he couldn't see the road ahead, he didn't know if Qin Feiyang had gone to the front or if he was hiding in the castle. "Commander, what should we do now?" The black-clothed man and the other 6 had already regained their senses and looked at Commander Su in confusion. "There's no turning back. Chase him to the end," Commander Su said sinisterly as he ran along the path. The 6 of them looked at each other and followed suit. When the 7 of them were far away, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air at the corner. "Why did he want to kill me?" He looked ahead, his eyes flickering. Then he took out the map and carefully examined it. He definitely couldn't take this path anymore. This was because Commander Su had chased him for a distance. Seeing that he hadn't caught up to him, he would definitely think that he was still behind him. Therefore, he had to change his route. After looking at it for a while, he put away the map and looked towards the mountains on the right. According to the map, he could circle around to the Desert of Death, but the journey was extremely dangerous. There were countless war chief realm beasts. More importantly, night was about to fall. "Let's rest for the night first. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning," Qin Feiyang muttered and entered the castle. Fatso said, "Boss, do you think Commander Su wants to take revenge for Wei Zhongyang?" Lu Hong shook her head. "Impossible. Wei Zhongyang is no longer the Yen King. There's no need for him to work so hard." After pausing for a moment, she suggested, "Why don't we send a message to Elder Wan and the others and ask them to help? Since we've already left, let's not trouble them anymore. Moreover, there's no need to trouble them for a mere war chief." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. He sat cross-legged in the corner of the castle and closed his eyes to cultivate. Outside. "Damn you, little bastard." Commander Su stopped in his tracks and looked at the empty path in front of him, his anger burning. Qin Feiyang was only a 7-star martial ancestor. His speed was not even 1/10 of his. After chasing for so long, he still hadn't caught up. It was obvious that he must have hidden in the castle. "Commander, calm down. If that little bastard is still behind us, he will pass by this place sooner or later. That's right, we'll lie in ambush here and wait for him to deliver himself to us," the 6 black-clothed men said. "If you can think of it, how can he not think of it? I'm afraid he has already taken a detour to the Desert of Death," Commander Su said gloomily. The black-clothed man laughed and said, "Isn't that better? In the deep mountains, vicious beasts run amok. He will only die if he goes in." "Idiot," Commander Su cursed. Didn't he think about who Qin Feiyang was? His castle alone was enough to safely enter the Desert of Death. Let's wait for him in the Desert of Death. He pondered for a moment. He led the 6 of them and continued to rush towards the Desert of Death. The night passed in silence. The next day, Qin Feiyang left the castle early in the morning. Wolf King had also woken up. After a night of rest, he had recovered to his peak condition. A man and a wolf galloped along the small path. Wolf King asked doubtfully, "Little Qin Zi, didn't you say we were going to take a detour?" Qin Feiyang said, "Let's observe the situation first. Maybe Commander Su thought we would take a detour and went to the Desert of Death first. He didn't want to enter the deep mountains unless he had no other choice. Is he so smart?" Wolf King despised him. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't underestimate anyone. They didn't encounter any ambushes along the way. Occasionally, they would encounter one or two vicious beasts blocking their way, but they were all quickly dealt with by them. Half a day later, the entrance to the Desert of Death finally came into sight. The weather today was very good. The sun was high in the sky, and the sky was clear. Wait. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, stopped, jumped onto a big tree, and looked towards the entrance. He could vaguely see many people gathered at the entrance. But they were too far away to see their faces clearly. What are you afraid of? Even if they ambush us at the entrance, we can hide in the castle. The Wolf King said without any annoyance. Can't we live without the castle? They have time to waste, but we don't. Don't forget that I have a 5-year agreement with Wang Hong. If I don't report to the state capital within 5 years, Wang Hong will definitely keep his word. Qin Feiyang landed on the ground, glared at it fiercely, and continued to move forward. Look, isn't that Qin Feiyang? Why is he in the Desert of Death? Let's go and ask him for a few supreme-grade pills. When they were about to reach the entrance, a few voices sounded from the jungle next to them. Then 3 middle-aged men ran out and stood in front of the man and the wolf. They were dripping with blood and full of murderous intent. Seeing is better than hearing about you. Brother Qin is indeed a talent. Wolf King is also very handsome. However, this is the Desert of Death. You can lose your life at any time. You too have to be careful. The 3 of them stared at Qin Feiyang and Wolf King maliciously. The people who would be here were basically murderers who didn't care about their lives. If they were provoked, they would do anything. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. In his mind, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed. He smiled and said, "The 3 of you are blocking the way, nothing more than for the supreme-grade pills. However, you should also know my methods. It's best to give up the idea of robbing as soon as possible." The pupils of the 3 contracted. Qin Feiyang said, "We can make a deal." Deal? The 3 of them were stunned and asked, "What deal?" Qin Feiyang said, "It's very simple. Follow me to the entrance. When I enter the Desert of Death, I will give each of you 10 supreme-grade healing pills." Is it really that simple? The 3 of them looked at him suspiciously. Accompanying him to the entrance, they could earn 10 supreme-grade pills. Wasn't this a pie falling from the sky? Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. We will accompany you right away. The 3 of them responded in succession, overjoyed. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Wolf King into the castle. Then, he took an illusory form pill and turned into a middle-aged man. Then, he asked the 3 in front of him for tattered clothes to change into. The 3 of them were baffled. One of them frowned and said, "Brother Qin, are you being hunted down?" Another person shook his head and said, "If that's the case, then it's too dangerous for us to accompany you to the entrance. It's not worth it." Qin Feiyang glanced at the 3 of them and said with a faint smile, "You just want more pills. After it's done, I will give each of you 20 pills. Brother Qin is indeed a straightforward person. Let's go." The 3 of them laughed and walked towards the entrance. Qin Feiyang shook his head and strode after them. Not to mention dozens of healing pills, even if there were tens of thousands, he wouldn't care. Because for the current him, it was completely a drop in the ocean. And there was a certain reason for him to do so. If Commander Su and the others were really lying in ambush at the entrance, then even if he changed his appearance, Commander Su would still suspect that he was Qin Feiyang. Because he was only one person. But now it was different. With these 3 people accompanying him, no matter how smart Commander Su was, he wouldn't suspect him. Dozens of breaths later, Qin Feiyang followed the 3 of them to the entrance. There were hundreds of people gathered at the entrance, basically all of them recuperating here. Sensing that someone was coming, everyone looked at Qin Feiyang and the other 3. But they only took a quick glance, then retracted their gazes and continued to recuperate. Qin Feiyang was also observing them, wanting to see if Commander Su and the others were mixed in with them. But after scanning the crowd, he didn't find the 7 of them. However, he found an old man in black behind the crowd on the left, staring at him intently, as if he was examining him. It was also at this moment. The 3 middle-aged men looked at each other and took a step back at the same time, walking side by side with Qin Feiyang. One of them whispered, "Brother Qin, if you don't want your identity to be exposed, you have to raise the price." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows without a trace. These 3 people were really greedy. Don't blame us for not being loyal. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for being a rich man. When we meet a rich man, we usually rip him off ruthlessly. The 3 of them chuckled. Qin Feiyang suppressed his anger and whispered, "Okay, 50 pills per person. Are you a beggar? Fixed price, each of us will pay 10,000 supreme grade healing pills and 10,000 supreme grade bone replenishing pills. If you don't agree, we will tell everyone now that you are Qin Feiyang." The 3 of them laughed sinisterly, and the threat was not concealed. 10,000 pills? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he whispered, "One can't be too greedy." One of them laughed and said, "There's nothing we can do, we desperados just like the word greedy." Qin Feiyang said, "Okay, I promise you. Anyway, these pills are nothing to me." Straightforward. The 3 of them smiled and led Qin Feiyang into the depths of the desert of death. Qin Feiyang looked at the old man in black again. He found that the man was still examining him. Qin Feiyang frowned. Could it be that this old man had discovered something? Or, Commander Su was in disguise? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He could think of changing his appearance and muddling through. Commander Su should also be able to think of disguising himself and waiting here. But no matter what, he had successfully entered the desert of death. At a glance, it was all yellow sand. Thousands of adventurers were scattered in various places. However, this was only the periphery, and the people who stayed here to search were basically martial masters. Those who were slightly stronger would go deep into the desert to search for treasures. About 500 meters deep. The 3 of them stopped next to a sand dune and said with a smile, "Brother Qin, we'll leave you here." "Thank you." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and turned to continue walking deeper. The 3 men's gazes darkened, and they immediately stood in front of him, saying, "Did you forget something?" "Yes, yes, yes." Qin Feiyang patted his head and said with a smile, "I'm really sorry, I forgot. Wait a moment, I'll get you the pills." After that, he took out the Cosmos bag. However, just as he took out the Cosmos bag, the 3 of them suddenly burst into action. One of them reached out to grab the Cosmos bag, while the other 2 rushed to Qin Feiyang. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's lips curled up slightly, as if he had already expected it. Clang! Chang Shui appeared in his hand, and with a wave of his hand, he cut off the arms of the 3 people. Blood spurted out a few meters away. Ah! The 3 of them couldn't help but scream. "I told you not to be too greedy, but you just didn't believe me. Now, you didn't earn the pills, but lost your lives. Why bother?" Chapter 269. Bam! The 3 of them fell on the yellow sand, glaring at Qin Feiyang with resentment. In the blink of an eye, they died. Qin Feiyang put away his Qinkuan bag and walked out from behind the sand dune, looking up at the entrance. He could vaguely see 7 silhouettes rushing in his direction. The 3 of them must have been alerted by their screams earlier on. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He turned and walked to the 3 corpses. With a thought, he disappeared without a trace. Not long after, the 7 of them arrived at the sand dune. The leader was the old man in black. One of the burly men pointed at the 3 corpses on the ground and exclaimed, "Let's go. They've been killed." The old man in black walked over and his face darkened. One slash to the throat. Wasn't this Qin Feiyang's usual assassination technique? That damned bastard. He was really crafty. Commander, in my opinion, let's forget about it. That's right. Although Wei Zhongyang saved you before, he's no longer the king of Yen. There's no need to offend a monster like Qin Feiyang because of him. The 6 men behind him tried to persuade him. No. If Wei Zhongyang hadn't saved me back then, would have turned into a pile of bones long ago. How would I have the status I have today? I can't not repay the favor of saving my life. Before he left, he asked me to kill Qin Feiyang. I must do it. The old man in black consumed a face-restoring elixir and regained his true appearance quickly. Who else could it be other than Commander Su? He looked up at the depths of the Death Desert with a ferocious glint in his eyes. I see. In the ancient castle. Qin Feiyang revealed a look of realization. Lu Hong said, this Commander Su is also a loyal and righteous person. He's loyal, but he's blindly loyal. Wei Zhongyang is narrow-minded and cunning. He's not worth it at all. Fatso sneered. Swash. After consuming the face-restoring elixir and regaining his true appearance, Qin Feiyang appeared behind Wei Zhongyang in a flash. Commander Su and the others were shocked and quickly took 2 steps back. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Commander Su, I heard what you said just now. So what if I did? Commander Su's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Qin Feiyang said, originally, I wanted to assassinate you when you weren't paying attention, but I really admire your character. Commander Su said disdainfully, assassinate me? Do you have the ability to do that? Qin Feiyang shook the Chang Shui and said with a faint smile, you should know very well whether I have the ability or not. Looking at the Chang Shui in Qin Feiyang's hand, Commander Su's pupils constricted. It was a treasure that could be used to hide. An indestructible dagger. If Qin Feiyang really wanted to assassinate him, he would have died the moment he appeared out of thin air. Even if he didn't succeed this time, there would be a next time, and a time after that. Commander, this is a good opportunity for reconciliation. You must make good use of it. The other 6 people tried to persuade him in whispers. Commander Su's face was gloomy as he asked Qin Feiyang, what are you trying to say? Wei Zhongyang is not worthy of you working so hard for. Although Wei Zhongyang saved you back then, you've been working hard for the royal family all these years. That's more than enough to repay his kindness. Moreover, Wei Zhongyang is only using you this time. Qin Feiyang said. You're lying. Commander Su shouted. You can think about whether I'm lying or not. Although I'm about to leave the county of Yen, Elder Wang and the others will come immediately if I say the word. There's no way Wei Zhongyang doesn't know about this. Yet, he still sent you to kill me. Isn't that just sending you to your death? To put it bluntly, he's using you as a pawn. If he can kill me successfully, he'll be able to vent the hatred in his heart. If he can't, he won't lose anything. He doesn't care whether you live or die. Qin Feiyang said plainly. Commander Su fell silent. There was a conflicted look on his face. I'll give you a chance now. Return to the county of Yen immediately and do whatever you need to do. I'll let bygones be bygones. However, if you insist on being stubborn, I, Qin Feiyang, am not afraid of you. I'll play with you to the end. Qin Feiyang said. Commander Su, Qin Feiyang has a point. Wake up. Don't be so stubborn. You still have a bright future ahead of you. The position of commander of the royal family will definitely be yours in the future. Why do you have to do this? Even if we kill Qin Feiyang, Elder Wan and the others won't let us go. By then, there won't be a place for us in the entire county of Yen. The black-robed man and the others also reverted to their original appearances and tried to persuade him. Commander Su looked at them, a little out of his wits. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I haven't told Elder Wan and the others about this. It's not too late to turn back. Really? Commander Su asked. It's absolutely true. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Okay. Commander Su gritted his teeth and knelt on the ground with a plop. He said gratefully, "Thank you, Brother Qin, for your magnanimity. I will never forget this kindness for the rest of my life." "Thank you, young Master Qin." The black-robed man and the others also kowtowed one after another, deeply grateful. Qin Feiyang also smiled. Killing was very simple. But it was very difficult to educate a person. Therefore, in his opinion, this was the most perfect ending. Of course, he would not show mercy to those who were stubborn. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "Go back and cherish the future." Commander Su hurriedly said, "Please give me a chance to apologize to Wolf King in person." Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he took the Wolf King out. Commander Su said, "Wolf King, we almost killed you yesterday. I'm really sorry. Please forgive us." Wolf King glanced at the 7 of them, his eyes flashing fiercely. A moment later, he stood up and waved his claws generously. "Little Qin Zi won't pursue the matter, so I'm too lazy to pursue it. As long as you don't help the wicked in the future." "Thank you, Wolf King." The 7 of them kowtowed and thanked him. "Let's go. See you later." Qin Feiyang clasped his hands in greeting. Then, he led the Wolf King deeper into the forest. Commander Su and the others stood up and looked at the backs of the man and the wolf, their hearts filled with emotions. Although the man and the wolf were notorious, they actually had a kind heart. The black-robed man smiled and said, "Commander, let's go back too. I still have something to do. You guys go back first." Commander Su shook his head. "Commander, what are you going to do? Could it be that you were pretending just now? Do you still want to deal with them?" The 6 of them were surprised. "Nonsense. We went too far yesterday. They can forgive us. How can I still deal with them? I just feel guilty in my heart. I want to secretly escort them as a way to repay their kindness." Commander Su sighed. "So that's how it is." The black-robed man breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "Then we might as well go with you. Yes, we are all people you brought out. Wherever you go, we will follow." The other 5 nodded in agreement. "Okay." Commander Su was quite touched. He nodded and said a few words. Then, he led the 6 of them and followed behind the man and the wolf from afar. "Little Qin Zi, I really don't understand you. I can't help but wonder if you are an imposter." Wolf King looked at Qin Feiyang strangely. In the ruins, when the grandfather and grandson poisoned them, Qin Feiyang was merciful. Now, he was merciful to Commander Su and the others. When did this fellow become so kind-hearted? Qin Feiyang said helplessly, "I don't seem to be merciful to those who should be killed, right? For example, Ma Cheng, Patriarch Lin, and the others, he did not let any of them go." Half a month passed. The man and the wolf had already gone hundreds of miles into the Death Desert. Looking around, they couldn't find a single person. Because most of the beasts here were at the War King realm. Only the War King realm dared to come here. But basically, all the War King realm warriors cherished their lives and wouldn't come here to take the risk. "How long do they plan to follow us?" Wolf King turned around and looked at a sand dune dozens of meters behind him. There was a trace of displeasure in his huge eyes. And Commander Su and the other 6 were hiding behind the sand dune. They thought that they were undetectable, but little did they know that not long after they followed them, the man and the wolf had already discovered them. At that time, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King thought that they were going to harm them again. But after slowly observing, they realized that it wasn't what they thought. Because there were several times when they were fighting with the beasts, Commander Su and the others didn't take the opportunity to attack. Roar! A few hundred meters ahead, a loud beast roar sounded out. A ferocious beast was running wildly in the desert, causing yellow sand to fill the sky. At the same time, on the other side, there were a few huge beasts that were napping on the yellow sand like short mountains. Qin Feiyang said, "White-eyed wolf, are you ready?" Wolf King nodded. The man and the wolf restrained their auras and quietly sneaked over. In this half a month, Qin Feiyang had already broken through to the 8-star martial ancestor realm. Wolf King had also broken through once again. His strength was comparable to a 9-star martial ancestor realm. However, in the desert of death, with their strength, it was simply not enough. It's too dangerous ahead. If you continue to follow, you will only drag me back. Give me your quiver and stay here. Wait for me to come back. Commander Su took away the quiver of the 6 people and warned them. Then, he grabbed a big iron bow and chased after the man and the wolf. Roar! Even though Qin Feiyang and Wolf King didn't make any movements, they were still discovered by a fierce beast. The fierce beast immediately pounced towards them as if it had seen a plate of delicious food. Whiz! Seeing this, Commander Su quickly pulled the bow and released the arrow in one breath. Accompanied by a sharp piercing sound, the black arrow pierced into the beast's eye. The man and the wolf were a little stunned. Could it be that Commander Su was escorting them? Commander Su didn't hide anymore. He quickly ran to the man and the wolf and said, "I'll send you out of this area." Without any explanation, his battle chi gushed out and condensed into a boundary. He took the man and the wolf and shot into the depths of the desert. Qin Feiyang was stunned and hurriedly said, "Stop." What? Commander Su didn't stop. He just looked at him in confusion. Wang Hong said that no one is allowed to escort me. I can only rely on my own efforts to get to the state capital. Qin Feiyang was a little helpless. If not, he would have asked Elder Wan to escort him. Why would it be so troublesome? There is such a thing? Commander Su frowned and then said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. Anyway, he is far away in the state capital and doesn't know the situation. Besides, I don't have the ability to send you to the state capital. I can only send you out of this area. When we enter the next area, I will return to Yen City." The next area was filled with fierce beasts of the War Emperor realm. Chapter 270. Qin Feiyang thought about it and felt that it made sense. Thus, he did not reject Commander Su's good intentions. Actually, even without Commander Su sending him off, he was confident that he could easily pass through the desert of death. This was because beasts above the War Chief realm were different from other low-level beasts. Their intelligence was not inferior to humans at all. As long as they had intelligence, there would definitely be room for negotiation. And not only was he a top-quality alchemist, he also had a large amount of treasures. If he was really trapped by the beasts and couldn't leave, he could definitely negotiate with the beasts. On the way, he also found out that Commander Su was actually a 9-star war king. He was only one step away from the War Emperor. In the past, he really didn't realize that Commander Su was actually so strong. With Commander Su's escort, their speed was dozens of times faster. In the blink of an eye, another half a month passed. On this day, 2 men and a wolf stood on a sand dune, looking at the desert in front of them. In front of them, they could clearly feel several powerful auras. Commander Su's eyes were filled with fear. "Brother Qin, Wolf King, I can only send you here. The rest of the journey will depend on you." Commander Su retracted his gaze and looked at the man and the wolf with a smile. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Then we'll meet again." Commander Su cupped his hands and jumped down from the sand dune. He followed the path he came from and quickly disappeared from the line of sight of the man and the wolf. Wolf King chuckled, "This person is quite interesting." Qin Feiyang nodded. If it wasn't for Commander Su's help, it would have taken at least half a year for him and Wolf King to arrive here. This is bad. Suddenly, Wolf King cried out in alarm. "What is it?" Qin Feiyang's expression changed, and he hurriedly scanned his surroundings vigilantly. Wolf King said angrily, "Brother's strength has already reached the 9-star martial ancestor realm, but without the War Emperor, how can I open the second and third level of the Gate of Potential?" A row of black lines appeared on Qin Feiyang's forehead. They were in the desert of death. Could they not be so shocked? It would scare people to death. However, what Wolf King said was indeed a problem. This was because he was about to break through to the 9-star martial ancestor realm. If he did not think of a way, it would delay his cultivation. Don't worry, the desert of death is lacking in everything, but it doesn't lack War Emperor level beasts. Let's go talk to them. Also, let's see if anyone is willing to give us a ride. Qin Feiyang grinned. You're really bad, but I like it. Roar. Wolf King let out an excited howl and ran towards the desert. Qin Feiyang also strode after him. If anyone saw this scene, their jaws would definitely drop. When others saw the ferocious beasts, they didn't even have time to hide. Instead, they took the initiative to approach them. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? Hiss. Soon. A giant python rushed out of the yellow sand and floated in the air. Its body was dozens of meters long, and its entire body was yellow in color. Its lantern-like eyes were emitting a frighteningly ominous light. Hey hey hey, we're here. Wolf King shouted at the giant python while waving his hand enthusiastically, as if he had seen an old friend. The giant python lowered its head and looked at Wolf King in a daze. Could it be that this wolf cub's brain was damaged? Wolf King said helplessly, "Big brother's neck is sore, friend, can you come down and talk?" Friend? The giant python was startled. It was even more certain that there was something wrong with this wolf's brain. Its eyes shone with a cold luster. It opened its bloody mouth and swooped down towards the man and the wolf. Wolf King said sadly, "Big brother sincerely wants to be friends with you, but you want to eat us. It really makes Big brother disappointed." Scram immediately. The giant python flew into a rage. It didn't even have the mood to eat them. Wolf King grinned and laughed, "Don't be like this, come down and let's have a good talk." The giant python was about to go crazy. Where did this lunatic come from? If it ate this wolf cub, would it also become crazy? Whiz. Decisively, it turned in the air and drilled into the yellow sand. Wolf King was stunned. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and wondered, Big brother didn't act friendly enough? Qin Feiyang looked at it speechlessly. How could it greet others like this? If it weren't for the fact that he knew the white-eyed wolf well, he would also suspect that it was crazy like the giant python. Let's go and find other beasts. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly and continued to run forward. The giant python was originally a cold-blooded creature. He didn't expect that it would be scared away by Wolf King. It was also a strange story. But after a few steps, the yellow sand in front of them exploded, and the giant python appeared again. It stared coldly at the man and wolf and said telepathically, "Are you playing with this emperor?" "No." Wolf King hurriedly went up. This move made the giant python retreat. Did this wolf cub have something to rely on, so it dared to be so unscrupulous? The veins on Qin Feiyang's forehead bulged. He hurriedly ran up to hold down Wolf King and smiled at the giant python. "Senior Beast Emperor, don't misunderstand, it's just like this." Senior? The giant python was still not used to this name. Qin Feiyang said, "Senior, we're here to ask you for a favor. This human is still normal, I can eat him." The giant python secretly calculated and immediately pounced on Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's face changed, and he hurriedly said, "I have a top-grade pill." The giant python stopped, its huge eyes filled with shock and bewilderment. Qin Feiyang didn't talk nonsense. He took out a top-grade healing pill and tempted, "As long as you agree to help, I can give you a lot." The giant python looked at the pill patterns on the pill and asked doubtfully, "You're a top-grade alchemist?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. What help? The giant python asked. Qin Feiyang was secretly overjoyed, and said, send us to the Sea of Despair, and borrow your pressure. What? The giant python looked at the man and wolf in shock. They actually want to go to the Sea of Despair. Are they crazy? Qin Feiyang's heart moved, and asked, Senior knows about the Sea of Despair? I've heard rumors, but I don't know the details. I only heard that there is a group of mysterious humans living in that sea. Not only can they fly, but they can also live in the sea. What are you going to do in the Sea of Despair? The giant python asked. Mysterious humans? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. He knew a little about the Sea of Despair. But he had never heard of such a bizarre thing. He temporarily put aside this doubt and smiled. I have some private matters to attend to. The giant python was silent, as if thinking about something, and suddenly said, if you have the transformation pill and the barrier-breaking pill, this emperor will agree to send you there. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang immediately frowned. If you don't, then don't talk about it. The giant python said indifferently. Qin Feiyang said, to be honest, I don't have the pill formulas for the transformation pill and the barrier-breaking pill for the time being, but as long as you are willing to help me, I promise to send them to you in the future. Human boy, do you think that beasts are easy to fool? I'm afraid that when this emperor sends you to the Sea of Despair, you will immediately turn hostile and deny it. The giant python looked down at him contemptuously. Hey, friend, shouldn't there be more trust between beasts and humans? Look at my brother, he has such a good relationship with little Qin Zi. Wolf King stood up, put his arm around Qin Feiyang's shoulder, and grinned at the giant python. The giant python directly ignored Wolf King and said impatiently, Human, don't waste this emperor's time. Come into this emperor's mouth. After eating you, this emperor still needs to rest. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why did these words sound so familiar? Yes. It was the lion-headed eagle. The lion-headed eagle also said these words. His face suddenly twitched. Why did these beasts have so many personalities? Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he said with a smile, I have ready-made battle chi pills on me, but they are not the best quality pills. Battle chi pills. The giant python's eyes lit up, and it said, this is good. Give me 1,000 pills, and I will help you. Wolf King said angrily, Damn, why don't you rob me? Yes, why don't I rob you? As long as I eat this human, all the pills will be mine, right? Wolf Cub, thank you for your reminder. The giant python's huge body shook, and a terrifying pressure shrouded Qin Feiyang like a torrent. Qin Feiyang grabbed Wolf King and disappeared without a trace. The giant python's eyes widened, and it glanced down in surprise. In the castle, Qin Feiyang glared at Wolf King and roared, Do you have a brain? Don't you know what should be said and what shouldn't be said? I didn't expect it to be so cunning. Wolf King smiled embarrassedly. It's all because of you. Qin Feiyang glared at it angrily, then looked at Fatso and said, Prepare 500 battle chi pills for me immediately. The two nodded. Wolf King asked in confusion, Little Qin Zi, what is a bottleneck-breaking pill? It's a pill that can let you speak. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. Oh. Wolf King nodded thoughtfully, his dark eyes rolling. It's ready. Lu Hong handed a Qiankuan bag to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang took the Qiankuan bag, walked to the altar, and took out 2 potential pills. It turned out that there were a total of 10 potential pills. Fatso and Lu Hong each took 2 pills to open the first and second level of the Gate of Potential some time ago. Now he had to give Wolf King 2 more. There were only 4 left. It seemed that he still needed to find more medicinal materials for the potential pills. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Fatso and asked, How many medicinal materials do you have now? We originally had 5 sets of medicinal materials for the potential pills. Plus Jiang Jingyi's legacy, we have 12 sets in total. Now we have 66 sets of medicinal materials for the red fire-colored glass pill. Fatso thought for a moment and said. Qin Feiyang said, sort them out later and give them to me. Fatso nodded. Don't talk nonsense again. Qin Feiyang reminded Wolf King and then left the castle with Wolf King. The giant python was about to drill into the yellow sand with a belly full of doubts. Seeing the man and the wolf appear out of thin air again, the surprise in its eyes was even stronger than before. Senior, you saw it too. It's impossible to kill us. Here are 500 battle chi pills. I'll give you the remaining 500 when we get to the Sea of Despair. Qin Feiyang threw the Qiankuan bag over with force. The giant python wrapped the Qiankuan bag with its huge tail and checked it in front of its eyes. Then it looked at Qin Feiyang for a moment. It's the first time I've met such a forthright human. Okay, I'll send you there. After that, you're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.